Still can't sense it. After school, Pang Shi pushed open the door from outside and was met with the middle-aged man's concerned greeting. Without a word, he brushed past him, walked into the bedroom, and slammed the door shut. Somewhat helplessly, he stroked the crescent moonstone. No matter how hard he tried, he had truly lost contact with the implanted bionic chip and could no longer sense it at all. Without the chip to assist him, his grades could only leave him at the bottom of the class. The college entrance examination was still a month away. Even if he could sense the bionic chip now, it was already too late. Every day after he came back from school, the middle-aged man would ask the same question. Having grown up in Crime City, Pang Shi had never felt much affection for his father. Crime City had no rules and no laws. In order to survive, one would stop at nothing. The crescent moonstone he was stroking was something he had obtained in Crime City. The first time he saw it, it had emitted intense rays, dark yet beautiful. According to its owner, this crescent moonstone came from a scientific research base. It had been a top-secret research project, and he stole it out. Unexpectedly, it caused an enormous uproar. The scientists from the research base along with him were all sent to Crime City. The others all died. He used this stone to trade for Pang Shi's protection. A few months ago, Pang Shi obtained the only spot. He left Crime City and officially became a student at an ordinary high school. Among his classmates, some had already awakened while he had completely lost contact with his bionic chip. It had already been decided that he could only enter a technical college. What awaited him would be an ordinary life. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of knocking came from outside. Pang Shi asked coldly, "What is it?" "I've thought it over. I've decided to take out all my savings and send you to the brain center for special training." "Open the door first." His father's voice came from outside. Pang Shi replied, "I'm not going. I think we should have a proper awakening and advanced neural intelligence tests one's character and resilience." His father said, "I think you are suited to all of these conditions." There was no response. His father had no choice but to leave from in front of the door. At that moment, Pang Shi's phone rang. It was his good friend Pang, whose excited voice came through the receiver. "Pang, sure, let me tell you. I've awakened. Congratulations." Pang Shi was out of step with this world. It was Pang who watched over him, always rushing to the front when a fight broke out. Acting on his father's request, he protected Pang Shi. It was not that Pang Shi couldn't fight, but rather that he was not suited for fighting. It would easily cost someone their life. The two families lived not far apart, and Pang, who was his only close buddy. Whoever dared to mock Pang Shi, Pang, who would be the first to charge out at them. Together, they skipped class 8 barbecue, talked nonsense, and hung out in the underground district's bars. Pang Shi was happy for him for being able to awaken at the last stage. "Aren't you even going to ask where I am and how I awakened?" Pang Hu asked excitedly. Before Pang Shi could say anything, Pang Hu answered his own question. "Let me tell you, I'm at the brain center. I followed their method and it actually worked. I awakened. Come on over. I'll wait for you." The brain center again. After hanging up, Pang Shi opened the door, grabbed a pork knuckle from the dining table, and ate it with great relish. He looked rough, even sucking the sauce on his fingers clean. "I've told you before, this is not Crime City. You have to learn how to live like a normal person." The middle-aged man, neatly dressed in a suit, sprayed a few bursts of cologne in front of the mirror. Turning sideways and seeing Pang Shi's behavior, he spoke with heartfelt pain. The middle-aged man exuded mature charm. Especially the faint, elusive smile at the corner of his mouth could make countless middle-aged women swoon. To the brain center. Pang Shi finished eating and looked at the middle-aged man. "That's great," the middle-aged man said. "It's wonderful that you've come around. Here are 5,000 dark energy coins. You can go by yourself. I've already made plans with your Aunt Wang." Pang Shi put the money away without batting an eye. After the middle-aged man left, he took out his phone and called the police. "Officer, I want to report Pang Debiao. He arranged to meet a prostitute in room 203 of the Sonata Hotel for illegal activities. Yes, I saw his room card. I'm his son. It's all right. As a good citizen, it's the right thing to do." After doing that, Pang Shi finally got ready and went out. Arriving at the brain center, Pang Shi was surprised to find that Pang Hu was not there. They had agreed to meet, and Pang Hu rarely broke an appointment. He called the number, but the phone was powered off. It was the same several times in a row, and Pang Shi began to have a bad feeling. Had that guy just disappeared? He contacted Pang Hu's family, and the call was quickly answered. "He came back from school acting sneaky, and I don't know where he went." "What? The brain center? Where would he get the money?" Pang Hu's mother was astonished, which made Pang Shi vaguely feel that things were not so simple. All around the brain center were awakening pods. There was no one acting suspiciously. Pang Hu had disappeared, likely not long after he and Pang Shi had finished that phone call. He searched around, but found nothing unusual. An instructor saw Pang Shi and cheerfully invited him to awaken there. He didn't respond. His good friend had disappeared. He had no mood for it at all. Just then his phone rang. It was Pang Hu. When he answered, Pang Hu's sobbing voice came through. "Brother Pang, I owe money, and they've tied me up. Can you come get me out?" Sob, sob. On the other end of the line came a series of abusive curses. "Damn it, hurry up and get someone to bring the money, or you know the consequences. I'll give you 1 hour. You'd better bring a few people." "How much?" Pang Shi asked. 5,000 dark energy coins. "Address. I'll send it to you." The moment he hung up, the phone rang again. It was Pang Debiao calling. "Pang Shi, come bail me out. I don't know which bastard reported me. I've been taken to the damn it. This was consensual. How can it be prostitution? I don't have any money. The line hesitated for a while. Then Pang Debiao's voice came through. In the bed where your Aunt Wong sleeps, I hid 300 dark energy coins. The key to her house is in the entryway in the 4th compartment of the shoebox. He hung up. An address appeared on his phone now. 231, Yinshan Road, outside the city, an abandoned warehouse. Pang Shi made a detour to Aunt Wong's house, and as expected found the key. He took out 3000 dark energy coins. Good for Pang Debiao. He remembered exactly where he hid it. Next he checked the equipment on him: finger blades, a finely honed wire, 3 crossbow bolts behind his back, and a sleeve arrow. These things had passed the test of time and helped him leave Crime City alive. At that moment his phone rang. It was the security bureau. Are you one of Pang Debiao's family members? Yes. 3,000 dark energy coins, and you can bail him out. Otherwise he will be detained for half a month. No bail. Please give him the most thorough reformation. Oh. Why? Because I am a positive energy youth. A bright and sunny young man. The officer who had called Pang Shi was silent for a few seconds, then hung up the phone. Arriving near 231, Yinshan Road, he found the abandoned warehouse, just as expected. Armed guards with submachine guns stood watch on the rooftop and before the entrance. Concealed in the darkness, Pang Shi mapped out his route before creeping closer to the warehouse. Through a gap, he spotted Pang, who bound to a chair completely helpless. 2 guards stood beside him, their arms bearing the same dinosaur tattoos as the men outside. Discarded shelves were piled up all around the warehouse. A bare bulb swung overhead, casting a blinding, swaying glare on Pang Hu. Dinosaur gangmen. In the shadows, Pang Shi also discovered 2 hidden dinosaur mechs. This was no simple dinosaur gang operation. It was a hidden stronghold of the pseudo-Zerg. Had he charged in just now, he would likely be dead by now. The presence of Zerg-supplied mechs meant an awakened was here. Their combat power in those suits far surpassed ordinary humans. A reckless move was out of the question. Pang Shi decided to lie low and bide his time. Inside the warehouse, Pang, who took a heavy punch. You awakened using our money, and now you refuse to join us. Think we're running a charity. 5000 dark coins. I want 50000. Get someone to pay the ransom now. Or else will sell you off to settle the debt. Pang Hu shuddered. Organs were worth a fortune these days, and being sold meant getting his kidneys carved out. He could only pull out his phone and call Pang Shi. But Pang Shi had it on silent, and the call went unanswered. At that moment Pang Shi was outside, hidden. He attached his recording device and spoke in a low, serious tone. Hello everyone, I'm Sunshine Boy. I've discovered a new pseudo-Zerg stronghold. As upstanding citizens we must stand firmly against the forces of evil. Yeah, that should do it. Pang Shi spoke with righteous conviction into the camera, satisfied with his performance. Time to collect the bounty. He turned. Bolts shot out from the broken window, and Pang Shi didn't spare a glance. He relied purely on his razor-sharp instincts. Every shot found its mark. All the men dropped, not even a cry of pain escaping their lips. He took them down while keeping count. 1, 2. All 5 dinosaur gang members lay sprawled on the ground in an instant. Pang! He started to shout, Pang! MMPH. Pang Shi clamped a hand over his mouth just in time. Should keep quiet. It's not safe here. Pang, who nodded frantically, his eyes wide as saucers. Pang Shi released him and told him to get out quickly. Pang, who had never seen anything like this, all he could do was nod, too terrified to stand. Not a sound. Pang Shi warned. 2 dinosaur mechs still lurked in the darkness. If they were stirred awake, everything would be over. Before launching his attack, Pang Shi had noticed that no matter how chaotic things got inside the warehouse, the 2 dinosaur mechs never moved. There was only one explanation: their pilots were absent, or they were in such a deep slumber that they wouldn't wake anytime soon. He couldn't risk betting on the pilot's absence. He only had one life to live. He crept cautiously toward them. Roar! As he drew near, he finally triggered their alert. A faint curve appeared at the corner of Pang Shi's mouth. With a flick of his fishing line, he effortlessly severed the dinosaur mech's head. Another bolt pierced the skull of the pseudo-Zerg pilot hidden inside. The roar roused the second mech. This was the most dangerous moment. But Pang Shi had already predicted its attack trajectory and sidestepped it with ease. Closing in, he dispatched it using the same method. After confirming there was no remaining threat, he retrieved his spent bolts and tucked them back against his body. Facing the camera, he reiterated, the dinosaur gang controlled by the pseudo-Zerg deserved to die. He stopped the recording, satisfied with the outcome. Each gang member was worth 5,000 dark coins, and the 2 dinosaur mechs fetched 20,000. He needed the money. Ever since leaving Sin City, he had been searching for ways to earn. Yet he found that every easy way to make money had been written into the criminal code by the Star Pavilion. All he knew was killing. So he scoured the bounty hall and found this particular path. He studied several successful cases. They all had recorded videos as evidence and delivered a rousing speech. To make money, he had to follow suit. He had been eager to execute his plan, but was stuck having lost contact with his chip and trapped in the problem of awakening his biocomputer. He never expected them to deliver themselves to his doorstep. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots rang out from outside. We stand against evil. We're here to eliminate the dinosaur gang. A girl with a ponytail bouncing as she walked wearing rabbit-ear hair clips blew the smoke from her gun barrel. She signaled her teammates, then leaped gracefully from the rooftop, training her gun on the warehouse. She kicked open the iron door and sprayed gunfire while shouting, "The bunny mercenaries shall vanquish demons and stand against the vile dinosaur gang." "Boss, wait, there's no resistance." The rabbit-eared girl was furious. Did she need him to point that out? Someone beat us to it. Guess we're going hungry tonight. The mercenaries' spirits deflated instantly. Once they left, Pang Shi released his grip on Pang Hu's mouth and stepped out from the shadows. His hiding spot looked randomly chosen, but it was actually the optimal position in the room. It was pure instinct. It was enough to fool even professional mercenaries. Pang. Pang Gu. Pang, who could barely speak from fear. If Pang Shi had been just a moment later, he would have been riddled with bullets by now. He was so terrified he couldn't get up. "Come on, let's go home." Pang Shi dragged Pang Hu along, finding him to be a heavy burden. Back in Sin City, he would have killed Pang Hu on the spot. But as Pang Debiao had said, he needed to adapt to life outside Sin City. For instance, not killing indiscriminately. Pang. Hu, it hurts, ouch. Pang Hu's face met the ground, drawing a pained yelp from him. Hearing this, Pang Shi dumped him on the road and said coldly, "We're in the middle of nowhere. Freaks could pop out. If you don't want to get dragged off and stuffed into some hole, you'd better crawl home fast." Yes. Pang Hu didn't want to stay out here a second longer. He just wanted to go home to his mother. But his legs were shaking too much to move. "How about you slap yourself twice?" Pang Shi said in a cold, eerie tone. Smack, smack. Pang Hu actually managed to stand up. He didn't feel as scared anymore. He looked at Pang Shi with gratitude. Pang Shi, hands clasped behind his back, shook his head in disdain. He muttered contemptuously, "Does a fool like that really exist in this world?" Pang Hu's grateful gaze slowly turned into confusion. The flattering words stuck in his throat, never making it out. By then the figure had already walked off into the distance, and he hurried to catch up. "Pang Gu, let me tell you, I've awakened." "You know what? I awakened a high-tier biocomputer. From now on, it'll definitely reach the pinnacle of humanity, and keep watching your back, Pang Gu." "Hey, Pang Gu, wait for me." Returning home. It was already late at night. After a quick wash, Pang Shi lay on his bed browsing a learning website on his phone and saving a few nice pictures. Only then did he fall into a deep sleep. In his dream, he saw a crescent of a black moon. It emitted a vast amount of black light. It seems to be a form of energy. Yet it is different from dark energy. Pang Shi in a daze had no idea what these black rays were. Morning. Pang Shi opened his eyes. He attempted to establish a connection with the bionic chip in his mind, but failed again. Ever since he obtained the Star Moon Stone, he could no longer sense the chip's presence. Usually this only happens to those without any aptitude. These individuals with weak mental fortitude cannot withstand the pain inflicted by the bionic chip, causing it to go dormant. After washing up, he grabbed a quick bite to eat and headed to school with his backpack. Today was the day of the school's awakening. It signified the final deadline for awakening one's neural intelligence. For Pang Shi, raised in Crime City, attending school was a foreign concept. Initially, he had held some expectations. However, he soon found the students there to be far too immature. Consequently, his interest in studying waned. He attended school merely to comply with the rules set by the Star Pavilion. On his way, Pang Shi encountered some classmates. No one greeted him. These classmates were all discussing the awakening. They believed that being awakened meant securing a bright future. Of course, one must admit some people truly are ahead. Did you hear? Long Yunfei has awakened a master-level neural intelligence. Master level? My God, truly a talent, my idol. Who doesn't want to be with him now? With your looks, do you think you're worthy, eh? The so-called awakening is the process where humans activate certain brain regions with the aid of dark energy. After mastering the use of dark energy, humanity invented the bionic chip. It is implanted into newborns' brains, waiting to integrate as they grow, using dark energy to assist brain development. Based on the level of development, the Star Pavilion classifies neural intelligences into 9 grades. Grades 1 and 2 are called primary neural intelligence. Grades 3 to 5 are called advanced neural intelligence. Grades 6 and 7 are called master-level neural intelligence. Grades 8 and 9 are called quantum ultimate neural intelligence. Grades beyond 9 are still under research. Awakening a neural intelligence represents unlimited learning potential, a measure of one's innate talent. The Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion is said to have awakened a grade 6 neural intelligence. Hey Pang Shi, have you awakened? Long Yunfei walked over obsequiously, asking. At school, he was only afraid of Pang Shi. When Pang Shi first enrolled, Long Yunfei tried to assert his dominance. He had tasted the brink of death. From then on, whenever he saw Pang Shi, he would obediently take a detour. But things were different now. Having awakened a master-level neural intelligence, he possessed a bright future. Compared to him, what was Pang Shi? He had even lost his bionic chip. Everyone knew that was the mark of a failure. Naturally, he was no longer afraid. A somewhat stout figure blocked Pang Shi's path. Pang, who frowned and berated, "Long Yunfei, are you looking for trouble?" "So what if I am?" He had awakened a master-level neural intelligence, clearly distinguishing himself from these lowlifes. Soon he could move his family to the city's core district. Even the security bureau would show him some respect. It was time to reclaim what he had lost. Pang, who tall and burly, had just awakened a grade 3 neural intelligence, significantly enhancing his reaction speed. Seeing Long Yunfei provoking them, he shoved his hands forward violently. However, he missed, stumbling and nearly falling. As he turned around, he saw Pang Shi's finger blade resting against Long Yunfei's neck, blood dripping from the wound. Long Yunfei dared not move a muscle, daring to attack Long Yunfei. Is he tired of living? You don't know him. He's from Crime City. Watch your words. Long Yunfei could clearly feel the finger blade pressing closer to his carotid artery. If these people kept talking, he would die. He shouted angrily, "You all shut up. Brother Pang, I was wrong." He actually cried, the icy breath of death suffocating him. "You should be thankful for the laws enacted by the Star Pavilion, or else you'd be a dead man." Pang Shi disdainfully kicked Long Yunfei away and walked towards the classroom. In the corridor, their homeroom teacher Song Qingfeng approached. He asked Pang Shi awakened. Pang, who shook his head, touching the blood on his neck, Long Yunfei straightened his back and declared loudly, "Teacher, I have awakened a master-level neural intelligence." Song Qingfeng indeed regarded him with more respect. Not bad. Inside the classroom, students gradually assembled. Song Qingfeng stood at the podium, his expression cold. He was a retired soldier from the front lines, having fought at Fortress 111. After his leg was blown off and replaced with a prosthetic, he could no longer pilot mechs. He came to the outskirts of Cloud City to teach. He habitually drilled his students using the Fortress rigorous methods. This caused much complaint, earning him the nickname Devil Song behind his back. The awakening ceremony is about to begin. This is the last chance for those who haven't awakened yet. To those who have awakened, you might think your talent is exceptional, having awakened a master-level neural intelligence, believing the path ahead is smooth. To repel the Zerg, protect our lands, and be revered by thousands. But how many of you can truly achieve? Across the 1189 interstellar fortresses in space, every minute, every second, someone you consider a genius falls. Being in the rear is also a form of fortune. So keep a level head. Don't be arrogant if you've awakened, don't be disheartened if you haven't. In these final moments, compose yourselves. Song Qingfeng's icy voice echoed, and the students in the classroom fell silent. Those who had awakened no longer wore their triumphant airs. The students who hadn't awakened clenched their fists tightly. They knew Song Qingfeng spoke the truth. It's true that the city lord of Cloud City awakened a grade 6 neural intelligence, but there is only one city lord in Cloud City. A voice drifted softly from the back of the room. The students lowered their heads even further. They had struggled so hard to awaken. Couldn't they even dream of a better future? Why did he have to tear open the bloody reality and show them? Even though everyone knew it, hearing it voiced only made their... Among those who hadn't awakened, some couldn't handle the pressure. They broke down, completely wailing loudly. Song Qingfeng looked at Pang, sure, his expression complex. After all this talk, he was probably the one with the least hope of awakening. Although Pang Shi had performed admirably in regular training, never complaining of fatigue, showing excellent resilience and mental fortitude. He was the best student. But he had to accept reality. He couldn't sense his bionic chip. This meant he couldn't. He considered this his final lesson to them. They would need to face things on their own from now on. One must always learn to confront the harsh reality. With this thought, Song Qingfeng felt resigned. Now those who haven't awakened follow me. As if heading to their execution, the 50 students who stepped forward, except for Pang Shi, all wore ashen faces. In the awakening chamber, 3 precision instruments were arranged separately across the room. Song Qingfeng selected one of them and instructed the students to form a line. He operated the touchscreen, requesting access permissions. Upon awakening, the pod would release absorbable dark energy. This came at a considerable cost. Each student was entitled to a maximum of 3 free attempts. Clearly this was their final one. Pang Shi had missed his first 2 opportunities. Due to age restrictions, this was his first and last chance to awaken. Lu Xiaoxiao failed to awaken. A frail-looking girl turned even paler upon hearing the result. She exited the chamber and retreated to a corner, wiping away her tears. Her future was destined for menial factory labor, or perhaps installing prosthetics to endure grueling work. Li Haoran awakened level 7 intelligence brain. Even the usually composed Song Qingfeng's voice rose with excitement. The young man stepped out of the pod, his face noticeably pale, looking as drained as if he had just survived a fierce battle. Yet he could not conceal his inner thrill. At the very least, he had secured a ticket into the core of Cloud City. He could become a think tank member. As an expert, he could voice eccentric opinions and amass a fortune, living comfortably for the rest of his life. The awakening ceremony proceeded methodically. Some wept, others rejoiced. Inspired by Li Haoran's stunning comeback, the students behind him were raring to go. I think I can awaken a level 9 intelligence brain. Then I'll lead humanity to drive the Zerg out of the solar system, establish a galactic fleet, and dominate the universe. That would be absolutely epic. A short student, barely 5 feet tall, spoke with eager excitement in front of Pang Shi. Yeah, I think I can. The two were lost in their fantasies. A voice drifted over, cold and detached. Dominating the universe might be possible, but being cool is definitely out of the question for you two. The two dreamers froze instantly, their enthusiasm extinguished. Their turn came quickly. They glanced back at Pang Shi with disdain, as if they had already reached the pinnacle of humanity. Alas, neither of them awakened. The crushing blow drove them to huddle beside the tearful girl, sobbing together. Finally, it was Pang Shi's turn. As he passed through the security gate, a piercing alarm blared. Are you carrying metal objects? Song Qingfeng frowned deeply. Metal objects could cause dark energy to converge and unleash terrifying force, damaging the pod and endangering the awakener's life. This was common knowledge. Oh, Pang Shi responded, removing his blood-stained finger blades, crossbow bolts, and elbow guards. Song Qingfeng's eye twitched at the sight of the weapons reeking of blood. Had this guy just killed someone? Under the others' astonished gazes, Pang Shi grimaced and passed through the detector. Nothing else. The crossbow bolts and finger blades were his usual trump cards. But his less used back crossbow and elbow guards had also been exposed, leaving him feeling vulnerable. He lay inside the awakening pod, feeling enveloped by a peculiar energy. His cells grew active, and he sensed his body strengthening. A mechanical voice echoed from within the pod, attempting to establish connection with the chip. Attempt failed, initiating second attempt. Warning, host defensive level is too high, please relax. Please relax. Attempt failed, initiating third attempt. Outside the pod. Song Qingfeng frowned. As expected, failure. Whether Pang Shi awakened a quantum ultimate brain or not, he had anticipated both outcomes. Yet seeing the failure materialize, he still felt a pang of regret. In his heart, Pang Shi was a student capable of going further than most. However, the gray brain level on the screen outside the pod was strikingly conspicuous, grating on Song Qingfeng's nerves. Just as he was about to sigh, the gray text suddenly lit up. Level 1 intelligence brain. Success. A surge of elation followed. This was a promising start, and Song Qingfeng had every reason to believe Pang Shi could shatter past records. Awakening quantum ultimate intelligence brain. Inside the pod, Pang Shi felt different. He still hadn't sensed the bionic chip, yet he had succeeded. Level 1 intelligence brain awakening successful, attempting to increase dark energy density. Amidst the dark energy, Pang Shi noticed darker, denser black lines. It was that crescent stone. It was dissolving, transforming into vast amounts of black energy that surged into his body, continuously altering him. Intense pain erupted. His brain became exceptionally active, and his surroundings grew vivid. Through sound alone, he could even simulate the scene outside. Someone was in the restroom, and there were 3 people in the women's. Level 4 intelligence brain awakening successful. As his brain developed, Pang Shi's perception expanded. A flood of information rushed in, and his brain felt like it would burst. Pain racked his body, yet it was far from his limit. He could distinctly detect the rapid breathing of 8 classmates in the room. They were all listening to Pang, who boast. I'm telling you, brother, Pang stormed the dinosaur gang yesterday, killed 5 of their members, and rescued me from the warehouse. But you think that's the end of it? No, he also took down 2 pseudo-Zerg mechs. Pang, who was loudly glorifying his deeds. He concluded, so brother Pang will definitely awaken a quantum ultimate brain and blow everyone's minds. This guy? Pang Shi couldn't help but curse under his breath. In Sin City, the arrogant always died fast. Level 7 intelligence brain awakening successful, pod continuing to inject energy. Awakening chamber. Song Qingfeng clenched his fists in excitement. He had truly done it. Level 7 intelligence brain, and it hadn't reached its limit yet. There was still potential for further awakening. This suggested Pang Shi might genuinely awaken an ultimate intelligence brain. In the logistics department, the attendant on duty, tired from scrolling through videos all morning, glanced casually at the dark energy reserves. He immediately sprang up like a startled grasshopper, shouting in shock. Holy crap, the dark energy's been stolen. 4,000 liters consumed in one morning. Damn. That was equivalent to the entire school's monthly usage. If he couldn't trace where it went, his career as logistics director was over. It has Song Qingfeng's authorization. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was legitimate consumption, remembering that the graduating class was in the crucial awakening phase. Damn, did someone awaken a quantum ultimate brain? He muttered, deciding to check the awakening chamber personally. To clear himself of suspicion, he also contacted the principal. In the principal's office, leaders from the Star Pavilion were conducting an inspection. The balding principal stood with a solemn expression. Cultivating talent for Cloud City is my pride. At that moment, his phone rang. Hello, this is Zhao Dehai. Someone awakened a quantum ultimate brain. The visiting leaders rose to their feet in excitement. Hurry, let's go see who it is. Could such a genius really have been born in Cloud City? The examiners who had been trying to maintain their composure were instantly electrified with excitement. They scurried about in a flurry, dashing towards the awakening chamber as if afraid to be a single step behind. The principal was dumbfounded by the sight. He quickly snapped out of it and chased after them. In the logistics support department, the director, running a hand through his greasy hair, also grew excited after hanging up the phone. The sheer amount of dark energy consumed this morning could only mean one thing. Someone had truly awakened the quantum ultimate brain. Heavens, it was actually real. He had just thought it impossible, but the excited voice on the phone convinced him of the fact. Inside the awakening chamber. Quantum ultimate. Quantum ultimate. Song Qingfeng clenched his fists, staring at the screen before him. Every single level indicator was lit up. This signified that Pang Shi had not only awakened the quantum ultimate brain, but it was the highest level, the 9th level brain. When he himself had undergone awakening, he had been overwhelmed by the massive influx of information and passed out at the 7th level. Surely Pang Shi must have also succumbed to the overwhelming impact and lost consciousness by now, right? In reality, Pang Shi was enduring the intense agony, stubbornly refusing to black out. In Sin City, no matter how severe the injury, losing consciousness meant death. That was absolutely forbidden. As a torrent of information flooded his mind, 5 people were approaching from outside. 3 of them were jogging, with the others following closely behind. From another direction, a lone figure was also hurrying over. The sheer volume of information was immense, requiring intense concentration to process. His brain, working at an explosive rate, generated a level of pain incomprehensible to ordinary people. Yet he remained conscious. A continuous alarm began to blare from the awakening pod. Within Pang Shi's mind, a surge of black energy flooded in, easing his suffering considerably. Outside, Song Qingfeng stared at the screen in disbelief, astonished to discover that the data that had just lit up had suddenly all reset to 0. In all his years of teaching, he had never encountered such a phenomenon and was momentarily at a loss. Footsteps echoed from the corridor. Who here awakened the quantum ultimate? The examiners arrived, and seeing people in the hallway felt their conviction grow stronger. Their excitement mounting, they asked eagerly. Discovering a quantum ultimate brain user and recommending them to the Star Academy would be a monumental achievement. Quantum ultimate. The students were stunned. Pang Shi had just entered the awakening pod. Could it be him? Hadn't he lost contact with his chip? How was this possible? Seeing the students' astonishment, the examiners went straight to the awakening chamber. They found Song Qingfeng looking bewildered. Teacher Song, who awakened the quantum ultimate brain. You've done a great service for our 3rd high school. The principal beamed with joy. Song Qingfeng, however, couldn't be certain. He wondered if the machine was malfunctioning. He could only reply truthfully. Pang Shi entered the pod, and all the level indicators lit up just now, but they've all gone dark again. All lit up. The examiners grew even more excited. This proved Pang Shi had awakened. As for the machine malfunctioning, that was a matter for later. Compared to discovering a student who had awakened a high-level brain, this was utterly insignificant. The students waiting in line behind him watched with envy burning in their eyes. Having just awakened and already having teachers waiting outside the pod with an admission letter, it was outrageous. And it was for the Star Academy's direct admission qualification. How could that not stir immense excitement? If I could awaken a 9th level brain, I'd laugh in my sleep. You might as well change your sleeping position and keep dreaming. It won't happen when you're awake. Haven't you seen that even the examiner from Star Academy was alerted? Under the gaze of the crowd, the awakening pod slowly opened and Pang Shi stepped out. This gave the examiner a sense of foreboding. Something was wrong. This was all wrong. Shouldn't he be lying in the pod unconscious? Shouldn't he be in extreme agony, needing days to recover? The quantum ultimate brain, which fully develops the mind, requires a terrifying amount of energy to sustain. The human body simply cannot supply it in time. That was why everyone who had ever awakened at this level had remained unconscious for a long time. The examiner, being knowledgeable, understood this well. However, not having seen something before didn't mean it was impossible. Pang Shi, how are you feeling now? Song Qingfeng asked with concern. I'm a bit hungry. I want to eat something, Pang Shi replied honestly. Stepping out of the pod, he felt like he could devour an entire elephant. A powerful hunger gnawed at him. Very hungry. This detail seemed to match. The examiner went to inspect the machine and found it was indeed broken. The other students had to queue for a different awakening pod. Tell us, what did you hear in there? I heard that the awakening of the 9th level brain was successful and the pod was increasing dark energy to fuel the consumption. That's it. It's definitely the ultimate brain awakening. At that moment, the logistics director arrived and announced loudly, the 40,000 liters of dark energy consumed this morning. So it truly was a 9th level brain awakening. His booming voice spread, igniting the crowd. A 9th level brain standing at the pinnacle of humanity, how enviable. Forget the 9th level, if I could just awaken a 5th level brain, I'd be satisfied. Those who used to mock Pang Shi are getting a taste of their own medicine now. I want to follow Brother Pang. I wonder if he's taking on underlings. A little sister might be more like it. The teachers were ecstatic, let alone the students present. Zhao Dahai's face was split with a constant grin. This is the admission letter for Star Academy, and we are issuing one to student Pang Shi right now. The examiners were decisive producing the letter. They were equally thrilled, of course. Recruiting a top-tier genius was definitely a major merit. The students' envy grew even deeper. Heavens, the Star Academy, everyone dreams of. They only take a handful each year. Hey, it's good if even 3 from our Cloud City get in each year. That's my ultimate dream, yet someone else has it. Seeing the students' overwhelming envy, Song Qingfeng corrected them. In your daily training, who among you can be like Pang Shi, who can endure the daily grind unafraid of hardship and fatigue? His achievement today was earned through sweat and toil. Mere envy won't lead to success without sufficient perseverance. The students fell silent. They knew teacher Song the demon spoke the truth. Pang Shi truly deserved this honor. Song Qingfeng also felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Pang Shi's success had only strengthened his own resolve. Taking the admission letter, Pang Shi felt no joy. His mind was consumed by hunger. All he wanted now was to eat. Nothing else held any interest for him. He signed his name and handed the receipt to the examiner, who left with a satisfied smile. Excellent. On the way, the principal looked equally delighted. Pang Shi retrieved his belongings and returned to the classroom. Fatty crowded in, asking with a fawning tone, "Brother Pang, did awakening the ultimate intelligence core alert the higher-ups?" I just saw the principal rush over in a hurry. I don't know. He didn't hide anything from his good brother. This sensation was peculiar. Pang Shi's brain activity had become significantly more vibrant. The surrounding scenery was like a video which he could capture and store in his mind, reviewing it at any time. Moreover, he could handle 2 different tasks simultaneously. He wasn't sure if this counted as an awakening, because he didn't even have a chip. Fortunately, this state wasn't permanent. He had to actively enter it. Otherwise, he would have starved to death by now. When his brain was operating, he could clearly sense the energy within his body burning. His blood boiled, continuously supplying nutrients to his brain to sustain its operation. The consumption was simply too high. "I'm going to eat first." After saying this, Pang Shi didn't wait for Fatty and ran out on his own. His speed was comparable to a turbocharger. Hey, it's not time yet. In the classroom, many people began to discuss. I just heard he awakened a level 9 intelligence core and already got the admission notice from Star Academy. My God, is that true? That's so lucky. Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. The examiner and the principal were both very happy. In the corner, Long Yunfei clenched his fists. Blood was still dripping from his neck, and from now on, he would have to avoid Pang Shi again. This filled him with resentment. However, he cleverly concealed it. As for Fatty, upon hearing the news, he jumped for joy. Of course, Brother Pang is Brother Pang. A level 9 intelligence core, just thinking about it got him excited. He rushed out of the classroom and ran towards the cafeteria. He had to stick close to the big shot today. He would treat. Celebrating Brother Pang's awakening. In the cafeteria, Pang Shi was so hungry his vision was blurry and his steps were unsteady. Nothing mattered more than eating now. He had to eat. Annie, don't shake the spoon, it'll pay extra, give me double. Pang Shi directly got 2 portions of food. Fatty rushed ahead to pay Brother Pang my treat. His smile was overflowing. His chubby body jiggled. He also got a portion for himself and sat opposite Pang Shi to eat. Pang Shi wolfed down his food. He had no choice, he was simply famished. He could clearly feel his stomach and intestines churning like a machine, extracting energy from the food and transmitting it to his brain. He could clearly feel his stomach and intestines churning like a machine, extracting energy from the food and transmitting it to his brain. This feeling was strange. Now he had an intimate understanding of his own organs. He could clearly see where he had been injured before and where hidden ailments lurked. Was this the benefit of awakening? He couldn't worry about that now. He was still very hungry. The cafeteria ladies saw this and gaped in astonishment. Whose child is this starving like that? It's pitiful. I already gave him extra portions, but he still doesn't seem to. If he keeps eating, the school's food supply won't last. After 10 portions, Fatty's face turned a bit green. He hadn't expected Pang Shi to eat so much. He felt he could barely afford to treat him to the cafeteria's food anymore. Pang Shi put down his chopsticks not because he was full, but because his stomach was stretched to its limit and couldn't hold any more. Now he had to go to the restroom. After this ordeal, when he returned to the classroom, the hunger had finally subsided to a bearable level. However, Pang Shi noticed a problem. Eating like this was not practical. It was alarming and he couldn't sustain it. Having to go to the restroom right after every meal was so inconvenient. Also, despite eating so much, he was still hungry. He needed food with higher energy density. Searching online, he found others who had the same experience. They consumed star cores. Are you still troubled by hunger? 1 star core sustains you for 10 days, saying goodbye to your worries. When he searched for star cores on the website, a slogan popped up. Even Pang Shi's heart stirred when he saw the price. 30,000 abyssal coins for 1. And critically, it only lasted 10 days. He needed money, you know. He was surrounded by envious gazes and flattering words. Pang Shi felt helpless about it. People outside the Sin City were truly boring. In the afternoon, it was time for everyone's assessment. Regardless of where one awakened when or if their potential had improved, it could all be detected through the Intelligence Core Assessment Pod. It was also the final requirement everyone had to participate in. After it concluded, they would officially graduate. Choosing a target school and taking their exams was then up to the students themselves. All the students in the school lined up. Everyone's scores were similar to their awakening results, with only a very few showing improvement. When it was Pangshi's turn, an anomaly occurred. System does not detect a chip. Please stand in the appropriate area. Looking at Pangshi standing in the assessment pod, Song Qingfeng asked incredulously, "You still haven't established a connection with the bionic chip?" "Yes," Pangshi nodded. Song Qingfeng was stunned. "Without a bionic chip, what exactly did you awaken?" "I don't know." Pangshi truly didn't know. He felt like he had awakened, yet also like he hadn't. However, right now, he felt hungry again. The surrounding students began to murmur. "I told you a level 9 intelligence core couldn't be awakened so easily." So it was fake. No wonder the equipment broke. He dared to try and deceive the examiner. Long Yunfei timely stirred the pot, delivering a critical blow. He wanted to drag Pangshi into the abyss. Regarding this, Song Qingfeng couldn't stop it either. After repeated tests, it was confirmed that Pangshi indeed had no bionic chip. Since the assessment pod read chip data, this was a significant matter. He had no choice but to report it truthfully. The examiner rushed over in a panic. He exclaimed in disbelief, "How is this possible?" His mind was in a whirl. He couldn't figure out where the problem was. The result before him left him at a loss. "Didn't you say you awakened?" He could only ask Pangshi now. Since the machine couldn't detect it, Pangshi himself must have some feeling right. "Didn't you say you awakened?" He could only ask Pangshi now. Since the machine couldn't detect it, Pangshi himself must have some feeling right. Who would believe that? Anyway, the machine is broken, there's no evidence. Long Yunfei sneered. Song Qingfeng frowned and said firmly, "I can testify." All 9 levels on the machine lit up. After careful consideration, the examiner decided to report the matter. After all, the admission notice had already been issued. They couldn't very well take it back, could they? That would be too rash. "All right, let's continue the assessment. We will investigate this matter." Song Qingfeng led him to the principal's office. A middle-aged man with a receding hairline sat behind the desk. Seeing them enter, he said, "During your awakening process, the pod released a total of 39021 liters of energy. Do you know? You broke the historical record. Back then, when human leader Qin Changming awakened, he only consumed about half that amount of dark energy. So can you tell me, did you truly awaken?" Pangshi was puzzled. He had no idea. Song Qingfeng was equally bewildered. Such a massive surge of dark energy would be unbearable for an ordinary person. It would backfire and consume the host. By that logic, Pangshi had indeed awakened. Yet without a bionic chip, there had never been a precedent for this. Even the assessment pod couldn't detect it. It was truly hard to confirm. From Sin City, Zhao Dahai's gaze was piercing as he fixed his eyes on Pangshi. It was as if he could see right through him. In truth, Zhao Dahai was more inclined to believe that Pangshi had succeeded in awakening through an alternative method. After all, the bionic chip was merely an auxiliary tool to activate the brain's potential. Such an occurrence, regardless of who it happened to, ought to be a cause for celebration. However, upon further investigation, a shadow of worry crept into Zhao Dahai's heart. Why did it have to be someone from Sin City? That place was steeped in darkness and slaughter. Those who managed to walk out of there alive were hardly virtuous souls. Yes, haven't you already investigated that? Pangshi's expression remained impassive. Zhao Dahai glanced at Song Qingfeng and said, "You are his teacher, you should know him best." Song Qingfeng nodded. He reported truthfully, "Pangshi can endure hardships others cannot. His willpower is staggering and his temperament is exemplary. He indeed possesses the conditions for awakening." Zhao Dahai averted his gaze and mused for a moment before speaking. "The assessors have just left. Their orders were for Pangshi to participate in the upcoming trials. If he passes, his admission offer will remain valid. Any objections?" No. Pangshi felt indifferent. The fact that these people weren't dwelling on the awakening issue was already a pleasant surprise. His affirmative answer earned him a measure of respect from Zhao Dahai, who nodded and said, "Very well then. You may go." After school, Song Qingfeng spoke to Pangshi. "The Starfall Academy trials are coming up. Go home and discuss preparations with your father." "Oh, that might not be possible," Pangshi replied without turning back. "Why? Is your father not at home?" "He's in prison and won't be back for a while." "Ah, he works at the prison. You should try to understand." "No, he was arrested for soliciting a prostitute. I reported him." Looking at Pangshi's unwavering expression, Song Qingfeng felt a chill in the wind. He searched Pangshi's face again, but found no trace of deception, leaving him even more unsettled. "All right, I'll take you around and explain the trial rules. But I'm very hungry. Then let's eat first." 2 figures of similar height walked down the street. Song Qingfeng suddenly asked, "If a thug jumped out right now and threatened your teacher, would you save me?" Pang Shi pondered for a moment, then shook his head earnestly. Cloud City is very safe. There are no thugs here. Song Qingfeng fell silent. It wasn't that he was fragile-hearted. No one knew Pang Shi better than he did. His abilities were exceptional, but he was devoid of emotion, cold, and exuded a thick aura of bloodshed. A thought away from Buddha, a thought away from demon. If not properly guided once he truly grew into his power, what if he turned against humanity? Wouldn't that make him a sinner condemned through the ages? Especially after hearing that Pang Shi had reported his own father, his concern became even more pronounced. It was within the rules, but it defied human sentiment. I said if Song Qingfeng emphasized. Then yes, I would. Pang Shi nodded without hesitation. This brought a faint smile to Song Qingfeng's face. Pang Shi had never lied. If he said he would. Perhaps his heart was still turned towards the light. For performing a righteous act and saving a life, the Bounty Bureau rewards 5,000 dark energy coins. If the person I take down is a member of the dinosaur gang, I get an extra 5,000. Conversations without deception were exhausting. Honestly, Song Qingfeng had no idea such a reward existed. He had saved several people in his life and only received thanks in return. They walked in silence until they reached the largest market in Cloud City. It housed a food court and a department store. Where do you want to eat? Song Qingfeng asked. Pang Shi shook his head. Eating was too troublesome. He wanted to absorb the energy from a star core, but he didn't have enough money. I'm going to the Bounty Bureau. Are you coming, teacher? Sure. Song Qingfeng nodded instinctively, deciding to stick with Pang Shi for the next few days. He wanted to see firsthand what kind of life Pang Shi led. If you don't mind, consider this a home visit from your teacher. Pang Shi didn't respond, which was taken as tacit agreement. The Bounty Bureau was located opposite the market. It had 3 service counters. In the main hall, the Bunny mercenary group was also present. Their leader, the bun-eared girl, was in a heated discussion with a clerk. She was dressed in fine clothes, looking exceptionally radiant. Her voice was soft and adorable. This is the video evidence we've provided. Could you please take a look and see if it's acceptable? In the video, the bun-eared girl's brilliant maneuvers were absolutely stunning. Especially the dialogue combined with the added background music was enough to get one's blood pumping. The hall was filled with the phrase, "The Bunny mercenary group stands in eternal opposition to evil." The clerk was almost moved to tears. Song Qingfeng watched it too and felt his own blood surge. Only Pang Shi's expression remained unchanged. He walked over to the adjacent counter and submitted his evidence. There are 5 members of the dinosaur gang, 2 pseudo-Zerg mechs, and I also rescued a hostage. Please process my reward as quickly as possible. Upon hearing this, the bun-eared girl shot up and stared at Pang Shi in astonishment. So it was you guys who got there first that day? I thought it was some formidable expert, but it's just a kid. She rolled her eyes. However, as she watched the video playing on the clerk's screen, she gasped and covered her mouth. The series of movements was fluid and flawless, executed with no wasted motion whatsoever. It was a textbook perfect performance. One person not only took down 5 members of the dinosaur gang, but also dismantled 2 of their mechs. Oh my god, their intelligence had been wrong. If Pang Shi hadn't beaten them to it, they might well have been dead by now. She gazed at Pang Shi with profound gratitude, utterly amazed. Song Qingfeng watched this unfold. But he felt a different kind of emotion. What exactly had Pang Shi experienced in Sin City? He treats his enemies this way. Would he do the same to his own friends and family? If the interests of humanity ever clashed with his own, what choice would he make? He was certain that Pang Shi, as he was now, would unhesitatingly choose his own interests. For Pang Shi's survival was the only thing that mattered. This thought weighed even heavier on Song Qingfeng's heart. He didn't know how to categorize Pang Shi's actions, because he knew Pang Shi was right. After the Bounty Bureau submitted the application, approval came swiftly. Pang Shi's claim was approved and 50,000 dark energy coins were credited to his account. The Bunny mercenary group's claim was rejected. Reason: the target was only a suspect. There was no evidence confirming they were members of the dinosaur gang. The bun-eared girl was furious. I told you to film clearly, didn't I? Can't you focus on the thugs? Huh? Why are you just filming me? The members of her group looked even more crestfallen. Didn't this mean their efforts were all in vain? Hey handsome. Bai Xiaobai. You look like you have potential. Interested in joining our group? Bai Xiaobai, with 2 hair-clip ears standing up, struck a cute pose and blocked Pang Shi's path. You're too foolish. Pang Shi shook his head, rejecting Bai Xiaobai's invitation. Bai Xiaobai turned around, his demeanor completely transformed. He barked angrily. Did you hear me? I'm talking to you. When he turned back, he was once again the picture of soft, adorable innocence. The transition was seamless, betraying no hint of deception. With a harmless smile, he extended a business card saying, "This is the contact for our Bunny mercenary group. You handsome young man simply must keep it." Oh, Pang Shi took the card and pocketed it without a second glance. Bai Xiaobai clenched his fists, stewing in frustration as he watched Pang Shi walk away. Leaving the bounty office, the gnawing hunger pangs assailed Pang Shi once more. Where can I find a place that sells star cores? Having never heard of star cores before, Pang Shi was at a loss. He figured Song Qingfeng might know and decided to. Song Qingfeng was taken aback. Star cores were a precious resource used to fortify the body and augment one's power with effects similar to dark energy. However, star cores were far more easily absorbed, making them the premier choice for physical enhancement. They're only available in the heart of Cloud City. We'll take you there. As they headed towards the station, Pang, who called. Boss Pang, I went by your place, but it was locked. Where's your old man? He's in prison. A silence hung on the line before Pang, who remembered his real reason for calling. Boss Pang, where are you? He'll come find you right now. Let me tell you some good news, Boss Pang. I applied to the Astral Academy, and my application got approved. Pang sure thought for a moment, then said, we're heading to the station. You've got guts. Don't say that, Boss Pang. I was counting on you to pull some strings for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't stand a chance. Pang, who whined on the verge of tears. After all, Pang sure had awakened a level 9 neural core. Surely getting him into the Astral Academy would be a trivial matter for him. Do you know who dies the fastest and since? Who? Pang, who asked instinctively. People like you who rely on others. Listening along the way, Song Qingfeng realized Pang sure was speaking the truth. He was merely stating his honest thoughts. Yet the truth is often hard to swallow. Just then Pang, who came sprinting over, stopping a short distance from Pang sure. His face was a mask of misery. Upon seeing Song Qingfeng, he seemed at a loss. Should I leave? Song Qingfeng pointed at himself. No. It's fine. He'll go instead. Pang, who left as quickly as he had arrived. Inside the station's grand hall, portraits of humanity's heroes were displayed. In one portrait, Qin Changming's gaze was resolute, his spirit soaring. He seemed to be both roaring and admonishing. Before him stretched an endless darkness. Below was his biography. Qin Changming, the first awakened level 9 neural core, he led humanity's rise against the Zerg invasion, drove them from the solar system, and established 1189 interstellar fortresses. He had once raised his sword and declared, dare cross this line, and you shall die. Song Qingfeng stood before the portrait, offering a solemn military salute. Tears welled in his eyes as memories of the harsh life within the fortresses flooded back. Beside Qin Changming, more portraits were arrayed. Some were rendered in grayscale, signifying those who had made the ultimate sacrifice, mourned by all of humanity. Their heroic deeds were meant to be etched into the memory of the world. Pang sure, what do you think? Song Qingfeng asked, his tone serious. Pang sure was a bit confused, but answered honestly, I think with my eyes. Song Qingfeng's anger surged, his body tensing. These were humanity's heroes, not to be desecrated in any way. Yet he kept his gaze fixed on Pang sure. Pang sure had answered with complete sincerity, with no sign of disrespect. Perhaps he simply hadn't understood the intent behind the question. It was just like him not to tell lies. With this thought, Song Qingfeng's anger subsided. He began to recite in the station. Human Vanguard Lu Shui leading a 7-man mech squad in a surprise attack on the Zerg. With only 7, they bought precious time for humanity, securing our great victory. They shall be remembered. Song Qingfeng, his voice thick with emotion and eyes glistening, read aloud before the portraits. He paid no mind to the strange looks he received. Human Vanguard Li Daqing, who plunged alone into enemy territory, rescuing Elder Qin from amidst the warship encirclement. Song Qingfeng stood tall, his tone precise and earnest. Moved by his passion, a crowd began to gather. They watched in silence, paying their respects to the fallen vanguards, their admiration palpable. It dawned on them that their ordinary lives were bought with the blood of these vanguards. It was a hard-won peace. They had heard the stories, but never truly discovered them for themselves. It wasn't until this strange man stood there declaring it in such a unique way that they began to pay attention. Song Qingfeng finished his recitation. He turned to find Pang sure had retreated to the back, hidden in an inconspicuous corner. Pang sure, do you understand? Song Qingfeng asked, a hint of surprise in his voice. In Sin City, this is how you die fast. Seeing the attention he had drawn, Song Qingfeng was momentarily speechless. He was right. Pang sure was right. At the Astral Academy, they were taught how to see through others' schemes, and drawing this much attention would indeed get you killed faster. But was that his question? He had asked about. Never mind. He realized he had been too hasty and made a fool of himself. Let's go. Behind them, jeering voices arose. A little hick putting on airs. It takes all kinds. Thinks he's the only one who can read. Right? These portraits have been hanging here forever. I don't see what's so special. And he's just never seen the world. Song Qingfeng stumbled, revealing his modified cybernetic limb, and staggered away. Actually, Sin City isn't so different from the outside world. Pang sure's words left Song Qingfeng speechless. He wanted to shout that it wasn't true, but the words stuck in his throat, unable to escape. On the train, Pang sure moved through the crowd with ease and secured a seat. Standing, Song Qingfeng looked helplessly at the elderly women with unsteady legs. In the heart of Cloud City, it was much more bustling than the outskirts. Cars were a common sight on the ground, whizzing by constantly. Various aircraft filled the midair, and some even strutted around in mech suits. Very few people walked as simply as Pang sure did. Upon arriving, he felt completely out of place. The place that sells star cores is called the Resource Bureau. It's not far from the station exit. Song Qingfeng explained along the way. Pang Shi looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. A flicker of an unreadable emotion passed through his eyes. The Resource Bureau had a grand, imposing entrance with opulent decor. Even from a distance, one could see the mech warriors guarding its perimeter. They exuded an aura that warned all to keep their distance. The two were stopped. Pang Shi's information appeared on the security scanner. Name Pang Shi. Age 18. Awakening status not awakened. Carrying weapons, finger blades, hidden arrows, elbow guards, back, crossbow, unknown fine wires, foot blades, knee guards. Danger level A. Hearing the alarm, the guard mech warriors immediately intercepted him. Entering the resource department, you are not allowed to carry weapons. Pang Shi sensed the threat from the two mech warriors, causing his entire body to tense up. A hand rested on his shoulder, signaling him to relax. Song Qingfeng reassured him, "Don't worry, they are just carrying out their duties. They mean no harm. They'll buy it for you. Do you trust me?" His voice was filled with hope. In reality, given his understanding of Pang Shi, this was a very difficult decision. Pang Shi trusted no one. All right. The agreement was surprisingly swift. Pang Shi transferred 30,000 dark energy coins to Song Qingfeng, which left him astonished. "I am a retired disabled veteran. I can get a star core for 20,000, and if you buy 3, there's a further discount." Pang Shi handed over all 58,000 dark energy coins to Song Qingfeng. At that moment, through the green channel beside them, a group of heavily armed guards wielding particle rifles escorted a middle-aged man inside. He was not stopped or questioned. "They are from the core area and are exempt from checks," Song Qingfeng explained. Pang Shi remained unmoved. He had never once believed that fairness could exist in this world. Watching Song Qingfeng enter the resource department, he quickly circled the entire building once, and then returned to his original spot. Song Qingfeng emerged handing over 3 glass jars. "Just enough to exchange for 3 star cores. I could only buy 2, the third one is rightfully yours. Consider it a gift from your teacher." "Thank you." Pang Shi took them quickly, as if he had been waiting for exactly those words. Song Qingfeng couldn't comprehend it, feeling his train of thought couldn't keep up. Truly hungry, Pang Shi put 2 jars into his backpack and immediately opened one. A special enticing aroma wafted out. Song Qingfeng warned, "Star cores are extremely energy-dense food. If you eat too much, your body will burst." Before he could finish his sentence, Pang Shi had already devoured a star core. A torrent of immense energy flooded his limbs and bones. His hunger vanished, and he became radiant with vitality. Now he felt a surge of immense power. He could enter that special state at will. His mind raced, and everything within a 3-kilometer radius became perceptible to him. It was as if everything was right beside him. Yes, it felt like the space around him had folded, and he could step into any point within this space at will. What is this? Pang Shi didn't know. He decided to test it later when no one was around to see if he could truly teleport to any location within a 3-kilometer range. Seeing Pang Shi devour a star core in one go, Song Qingfeng was petrified. Even he in his current state wouldn't dare to consume one directly like that. It would be akin to suicide. Yet Pang Shi not only did it, but showed no signs of discomfort whatsoever. At that moment, Song Qingfeng was finally convinced that Pang Shi had truly awakened. He just didn't know whether this was a good omen or a bad one. "Come on, let's head back." Song Qingfeng said no more, as he had no better ideas on how to guide Pang Shi. The trains in the core area were far more luxurious. The tickets were more expensive, and Pang Shi had run out of money. Song Qingfeng bought the tickets. When the train reached the boundary line of the outer areas, they switched to a shabby greenskin train. Unlike their journey there, Pang Shi and Song Qingfeng stood together all the way back to the station. "Do you want to go to the core area?" Song Qingfeng asked. "If I can earn money, yes." This answer was once again unexpected, leaving Song Qingfeng speechless. Spending time with Pang Shi always left him with an indescribable feeling of unease. "Remember to come to school on time tomorrow." After saying their goodbyes, Song Qingfeng left and headed home. Pang Shi took out his phone and called Pang Hu. "Brother Pang, you're so disloyal. Why didn't you tell me Song the demon? He's gone. Where are you, Brother Pang? He'll come find you. I'm planning to borrow money to buy a prosthetic body and turn myself into an invincible robot." In this era of advanced technology, there were 2 ways to become stronger. One was to modify your body with mechanical prosthetics. The other was to enhance yourself to pilot a mech. Mechs were classified into different tiers, were extremely expensive, and few could afford them. "I'm at the station. Have you thought it through? Didn't you just apply to the Star Academy? Once you get the modifications, there's no going back, and it'll be the end of your chances with the Star Academy. Let's talk when we meet." Hanging up, Pang Shi found a secluded spot. He instantly entered that special state. Everything around him flooded into his mind. 10 Autobots were waiting for passengers at the station, equipped with 3rd-generation Rampage engines capable of speeds over 200 miles per hour. Further back in the station office, a greasy, obese, middle-aged man was engaged in a passionate tryst with a... On the street, Pang Shi vanished without a sound. He reappeared inside the room. "Hey, can't you two be more mindful of your surroundings?" The two, lost in their pleasure, screamed simultaneously. The greasy, middle-aged man stared at Pang Shi in terror, his demeanor instantly deflating. The woman hastily straightened her disheveled clothes and fled the room. "Where did you come from?" the man asked, looking at Pang Shi as if he were a monster, his face contorted with fear. "Don't panic. Guys like you who corrupt public morals. If I report you, I get a 5,000 dark energy coin reward. And I'm sure the woman's husband would pay me a little extra too." The greasy man understood Pang Shi's intentions, his face darkening. "If you dare touch that gun, I'll kill you." The greasy man withdrew his hands and pleaded, "Spare me, I'll give you money. 50,000 dark energy coins. I don't have that much. There are 50,000 dark energy coins in your drawer." The greasy man lost all will to resist. He obediently handed over the money. When he looked up to where Pang Shi was, he found the room empty, devoid of anyone. Huff huff. Back outside the station, Pang Shi was panting heavily. This ability was real and his perception was correct. But it came at the cost of consuming his star core. Now the intense hunger was returning. He took a jar from his backpack and ate it. He must not use this ability unless absolutely necessary. "Brother Pang." Just as his hunger subsided, Pang Hu arrived. "I thought it over on the way here. I need to earn money first. Once I have enough, I'll decide whether to get a prosthetic body or go to university." "Perfect, I need money too." Talking, the two of them walked towards the underground city. At the very beginning, Pang Shi had asked where one could make money. "The red light district," Pang Hu said without hesitation. "Guys like you, Pang Gu, are the most sought after there. If a wealthy woman takes a liking to you, you could skip decades of struggle." That day, Pang Shi and Pang Hu arrived at the red light district and saw a plump woman in stockings writhing and demanding attention from a young man, and they were utterly stunned. Pang Shi slapped the back of Pang Hu's head. "So if she told you to eat shit, you'd do it? Of course it's a gigolo's, then would you eat it?" "Yes." Pang Hu nodded without hesitation, then added, "But with my build, no one would want me anyway." A herd of 10,000 alpacas stampeded through Pang Shi's mind. He realized Pang Hu was truly formidable. He could even eat shit. Ahead lay the infamous Ghost City. After passing through the red light district, the two entered it. Pang Gu bounty hunters can make money too. They agreed that once they awakened, they would register as bounty hunters. Just as they passed the red light district, the intoxicating scent of women's perfume still lingering in Pang Shi's nostrils, intense gunfire erupted ahead. "That's an M2 automatic air energy machine gun. Oh, it can penetrate 10mm steel plates." Pang Shi pulled Pang Hu to a halt. The stench of blood was pungent. Clearly many had fallen to the gunfire. Cries of agony and angry shouts intertwined. "You dare to deceive me? Are you tired of living? Today I'll show you why the flowers are so red." His moment of glory lasted barely 3 seconds. The man who had been mowing down enemies with his machine gun was immediately taken out. Someone came out to clean up the blood. In no time, the area returned to its bustling noise as if nothing had happened. The dark bar. Pang Hu followed, tremblingly pleading, "Pang Gu, why don't we go home? This place isn't for humans." His words immediately drew a host of unfriendly glares. Pang Shi shot him a warning look and ordered 2 of the cheapest drinks, bloody romance. Sitting at the bar, he surveyed the others in the bar. They were all modified. A burly black man with over a dozen mechanical arms, each clutching a plasma gun, sat leisurely chatting up a girl with a mechanical heart. The girl's skin was also modified, beautiful, bionic, and bulletproof. Her chest and rear had been enhanced, exuding a wild allure. On the other side sat a human who looked like a walking fortress. This type was a heavy modification user. A single one of them could even challenge a mech squad. They were incredibly powerful. Pang Shi had come here to register as a bounty hunter. He had discovered this while researching ways to make money. A bounty hunter could collect a fee for the job, and then by selling the footage get another payment from the bounty bureau. At that moment, a seductive woman approached them. "Hey there, handsome. I'm Lia, a server here at the dark bar. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "Why, oi?" They had come all this way, leaving without learning anything would be a wasted trip. Lia let out a charming giggle. "What comes next is only for those who order a youthful dream like everyone else. It's the price of admission." "Fine, we'll take 2. As Lia sashayed away, Pang Hu hissed, "Pang Gu, that's 1,000 a glass. Are you insane?" Before he could finish, Pang Shi clamped a hand over his mouth. Sure enough, Pang Hu's outburst had sparked anger. Those without dreams, even if they are young, must leave. The dark bar has no room for the living dead. The fierce shouts cowed Pang Hu into silence. Some began to close in. Blades extended from Pang Shi's fingers. "If you want trouble, you should first consider if you are strong enough to cause it here." The cold words spoken by a child chilled to the bone. The approaching thugs actually halted their steps. The dark bar never lacked troublemakers. The man who had just been slaughtering others had in an instant become a corpse. That was the price of insolence. "Kid, keep him in check, or he'll die," the thug bellowed before returning to his seat. "If you kill him, you'll die too." Pang Hu was stunned, feeling he might still be salvageable. A server brought over 2 glasses of the drink, youthful dream. It was iced, potent Mara's milk liquor mixed with high-proof brandy, the milky fragrance only leaving behind a disorienting intoxication. Youthful dream, confusion, novelty, and a dangerous price. Friends, tonight is the time to turn in quests and new ones will be posted. Lia's passionate, enthusiastic voice brought the bar's atmosphere to a new crescendo. Indeed, these people accustomed to dancing with death had their male hormones ignited at the sight of a beauty. They howled with excitement punctuated by sharp whistles. The Rabbit mercenary group successfully hunted down the dinosaur gang at Yinshan Road 231, earning a reward of 1 dark energy coins from the employer. 666. Oh, a wave of cheers erupted. Bai Xiaobai sporting 2 rabbit ears went on stage to collect the reward looking utterly harmless. Pangu isn't that the place I was locked up. I can't believe people post quests from the dark bar. What a loss. Bai Xiaobai collected her reward. She walked over and sat beside Pang Shi. So how about it? Join us and Big Sister will show you the ropes. I don't like trouble, so please leave. Pang Shi's words remained cold. In Sin City, he had never trusted anyone. In his eyes, the dark bar was no different from Sin City. The only one he could rely on was himself. Oh, don't be so boring. They'll let you in on a secret if you agree to join us. The bonus from this mission is yours. That was a full 10000 dark energy coins. Pang Hu's eyes widened at the prospect. He nodded his head like a rattle drum. Yes, I'm in. I'm totally in. Looking at Pang Hu, Pang sure wanted to knock some sense into his head. Could he be any more simple-minded? And you can cover our tab for today as well. You got it. Bai Xiaobai seemed delighted. Being able to quietly take down 2 fake Zerg mechs and claim a reward meant the Rabbit mercenary group needed talent like this. On stage, Lia's passionate voice rang out again. What is your youthful dream? Have you achieved it yet? And if not, why? Join the dark bar and let your dreams take flight. Next, the dark bar will be releasing the quests for the coming week. Mercenary groups or bar members who accept these quests will have 1 week to complete them. Also, the bar welcomes patrons of all kinds to post bounty quests. Bai Xiaobai's 2 ears perked up, listening even more intently. Quest 1: Hunt down Guijinhua of the Mercenary Command in the Core District. Reward 10000 dark energy coins. The senior officer of the preparatory department now has a price on his head from both the underworld and the legitimate world. A bounty of 10 million dark energy coins sent the dark bar into a frenzy. Ha, this is my mission, no one else better snatch it. The one who accepted the mission was an Strank assassin. He had modified himself into a mobile fortress capable of going toe-to-toe even against a mech squadron. No one vied with him for it. Though the bounty was high, one needed to live to spend it. Capitalizing on the buzz, Leah released several more bounty missions, all of which were snatched up instantly. Mission 9 members of the dinosaur gang are growing increasingly rampant under the control of the pseudo-Zerg. The Cloud City Core District has issued a mission for every dinosaur gang member killed. One can claim 5,000 dark energy coins from the dark bar, and for destroying a pseudo-Zerg mech the reward is 10,000. This mission has no execution limit. Bai Xiaobai was delighted to hear this. The Rabbit mercenary group could also hunt down dinosaur gang members and come here to claim their rewards. Their strength was at the bottom of the dark bar, so they couldn't compete with others for the better missions. This type of mission suited them best. They left the dark bar. She asked cheerfully, "Little brother, are you free tomorrow?" "No, we have to go to school," Pang Hu answered hastily. Rolling her eyes dramatically, Bai Xiaobai retorted, "I wasn't asking you. The Rabbit mercenary group doesn't take trash." Pang Hu felt so wronged he was about to cry. Pang Hu had never been so humiliated. But he also knew that if he went out on a mission now, he'd just be cannon fodder. He lacked Pang Shi's strength, had no special training, and had no prosthetic limbs installed. He was the epitome of a 3-need man. "You two go gather intel first and notify us when you have a lead," Pang Shi said, then led Pang Hu away. On the way home, Pang Shi asked, "Pang Hu, have you thought about your own path?" "Yeah, I've decided. Wherever Brother Pang goes, I follow." Pang Shi remained silent. Without prosthetic limbs, one could potentially go further, but the chances of survival and growth were much slimmer. The human body was far too fragile compared to cold machinery. The next morning, they shouldered their backpacks and headed to school, as usual. In the classroom, Song Qingfeng had lost his usual stern demeanor. He looked at the students with a gaze full of hope. "Today is the day you all must make your choice. Is it to bear the burden and move forward for your dreams, or to face reality and accept a bleak life? Every choice deserves respect. You are the future of Cloud City." The students buzzed with discussion, and the classroom became lively. They knew they stood at the first crossroads of their lives. "Brother Pang, I know you'll definitely choose the mech path. You're the pride of our class. Even though I only awakened a level 3 mind core, I won't give up either." Pang Hu's voice drowned out the other students. After going home last night and thinking it over, he still believed he should follow Pang Shi's example and become the pride of humanity, destined to board an interstellar fortress. As the noise in the classroom subsided, Song Qingfeng asked, "Have you all decided? Those accepting prosthetic modifications, please go to the modification room to receive your resources. Those choosing regular universities, please proceed to the academic class to continue your studies. As for the rest of you, have you chosen the mech path? Please stay for the special training. Upon hearing this, some students left the classroom. Only 6 who had awakened their mind cores remained. Pang Shi Pang, Hu Long Yunfei, Li Haoran, and 2 girls Chu Yanyan and Wu Xiaoya. Pang, who stood firmly with Pang Shi, while the others gathered behind Long Yunfei. Even Li Haoran, who had awakened a level 7 mind core, stood behind Long Yunfei. Very good. Song Qingfeng looked at Pang, who a flicker of surprise in his eyes. The special training begins now. The 6 of them excitedly rushed out of the classroom and boarded Song Qingfeng's van. Inside the van, Song Qingfeng continued. You are now capable of standing on your own. Special training is dangerous. You must cooperate with each other and ensure everyone's safety. After saying this, Song Qingfeng glanced at Pang Shi. He emphasized everyone must survive. They passed through rows of abandoned warehouses, and the scenery ahead grew increasingly desolate. Towering trees that scraped the sky and ruins scattered everywhere made the place seem eerily bleak. Occasionally, a mutated rat would dart out. They were over a meter long, terrifyingly huge. The so-called special training was to hunt down the polluted animals in this desolate land. This was the easiest way to pass. They could also choose to clear out the dinosaur gang instead. They just needed to get 1 kill per person to pass. Whether it's the rats or the dinosaur gang members, they are all dangerous. Before you act, think about what you've learned and don't be reckless. After delivering this final warning, Song Qingfeng drove off in his beat-up car, leaving the students standing there bewildered. What's the meaning of this? He's just leaving us here. Oh, there are so many terrifying things. Did that tree just move? Is this They looked towards Long Yunfei, seeking his help. Little did they know he was scared out of his wits and couldn't be bothered. They had only ever seen scenes like this in books. They never expected the special training to be so extreme. Just then Pang Shi's phone rang. It was by Xiaobai. She said she had discovered a large number of dinosaur mechs and asked if he was free. She'd feel safer with him there for the hunt. Pang Shi refused as he needed to complete his training. Not far away, a young man wearing a dinosaur cap was praying devoutly. Great deity, may your glorious light shine upon this place. He pounded his chest with his fist to show his loyalty. Behind him was a massive, overwhelming sea of dinosaur mechs. Roar, roar, roar. They all roared in unison, beating their chests with their short forelimbs. Looking at these pseudo-Zerg mechs, the young man smiled happily. This was a fresh wave of power. With them controlling Cloud City would be a piece of cake. Now was the perfect time to give the Star Pavilion a headache, because this was the time of year when Cloud City's high schools held their special training. As the deity has instructed, let them never return. May the great light shine and purify the darkness of the world. Let them never return. They had been lying in wait, only having the dinosaur gang harass Cloud City on a small scale, just to wait for this very day. Now the students for the special training had arrived. What should we do? Do we go hunt the mutated rats, or go after the dinosaur gang members? A girl asked. The towering trees blotted out the sky, creating a suffocating atmosphere. I think we should go after the dinosaur gang. These animals are too terrifying. I think so too. Long Yunfei nodded, then asked Pang Shi, what about you? Want to come with us? No, I'm afraid of catching stupidity. With that, he had already walked off with Pang Hu. They were slowly approaching an abandoned warehouse ahead, checking to see if it was safe. Isn't he being too cautious? The teacher brought us here, so he must know it's safe. After his awakening, Li Haoran was very confident in his perception abilities. Besides, they had relevant training on a regular basis. He had already checked the entire area using the methods from the warehouse was safe too. However, when they turned around, Pang Shi and Pang Hu had vanished. In the distance, Song Qingfeng was watching everyone's performance. For some reason, he had a sense of foreboding. It was a soldier's intuition from the battlefield. Looking at Long Yunfei again, the 4 of them had no effective plan of action. They were just standing there dazed. If danger struck now, they would have to fight Heaton. For these new students, it would be a death. It seemed they had forgotten all their usual warnings. But Song Qingfeng did not remind them. Otherwise, the effectiveness of the training would be greatly diminished. They had to solve the unexpected crisis on their own. Let's hunt down some mutated rats and finish the mission early. Long Yunfei led his followers into the forest. Earlier, they had spotted several giant rats, but the creatures had escaped thanks to their incredible speed. With proper preparation, however, given their awakened combat prowess, taking down one should be easy. Did you all bring weapons? Li Haoran pulled out a dagger, asking the 2 girls. They shook their heads vigorously. Who brings weapons to school? Long Yunfei handed each of them a sharp military knife, which he had prepared for today's special training. Let's hide behind the trees and strike together when a rat appears. The classmates all nodded in agreement. Holding their breath, they hid behind the trees. Rustle, rustle. Suddenly, an eerie sound came from a nearby thicket, making their hearts leap into their throats. The sound was terrifying, its source unknown. Li Haoran, why don't you go check it out? Long Yunfei said, gripping it. Li Haoran hesitated, then yielded. He crept towards the sound with his dagger, moving cautiously. I think it's some kind. As he got closer, the rustling stopped. Li Haoran didn't part the grass. Part it, and see what it is. Long Yunfei shouted. Hearing this, Li Haoran gently parted the grass. A dark shadow lunged at him, scaring him into a hasty retreat without seeing what it was. He returned to the safety of the tree. Soon the rustling returned, seemingly coming from all directions. What on earth is that thing? Chu Yanyan felt she couldn't take it anymore, the sound tormenting her to the brink of collapse. Maybe it's a mutated bug. We just need to kill 10 to complete the mission. Wu Xiaoya seemed much more relaxed, a glint of light in her eyes. With a sudden whoosh, a colossal rat scurried into the thicket. A high-pitched shriek followed. The rat struggled violently, and the thick coppery scent of blood filled the air. Moments later, only a pile of bones remained in the grass. Li Haoran broke out in a cold sweat. Thank goodness the sound had stopped earlier, prompting him to flee after parting the grass. The consequences could have been disastrous. The group hid behind the tree, exchanging horrified glances. Let's find that warehouse. Pang sure seems to know what he's doing, Wu Xiaoya said, also feeling scared. She felt Long Yunfei was as clueless as they were. None of them knew what they were doing, and they couldn't make any progress here. Not far away. 2 pseudo-Zerg mechs watched them with malicious amusement. These little brats are so jumpy, it's hilarious. Haha, the scent of youth. Let them savor their fear. By the sound of it, is there someone in that warehouse? Let's go check it out. The 4 students tried to bypass the thicket, but found themselves surrounded. To reach the warehouse, they'd have to break through the encirclement. They had no idea if that thing would leap out and attack them. For now, they dared not move a muscle. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Pang Sure was hidden in the most secluded spot in the warehouse, relying purely on instinct to secure a tactical advantage. Let's rest and conserve our strength. Don't leave this spot. After instructing Pang, who the 2 rested back to back. While Long Yunfei and his group were tense with anxiety, these 2 had already been resting for a while. Suddenly, Pang Shure's eyes snapped open. He sensed danger approaching. After awakening, his perception of the surroundings was significantly sharper, even outside a special state. He was now certain something was coming. He stood up and concealed himself behind a window. Outside, 2 dinosaur mechs strode overconfidently. They stopped by an abandoned oil drum holding controllers. Behind them followed 2 robotic dogs moving at incredible speed with seemingly no openings. They emitted a faint rustling sound. Boss, if someone's in there, let ACHA and the others go in and scare them first. Yeah, those stupid students will be scared to death. The robotic dogs were incredibly fast. One shot through the broken window in a flash. Bang! A fist slammed precisely into its head. For the second one, Pang Sure used an elbow strike targeting its spine. The eerie rustling sound kept Pang, who frozen in terror. Pang Sure had them in his grip, but they struggled fiercely. The robotic dogs had tenacious vitality, still moving even with broken spines. The other one, however, fell apart, scattering parts across the floor. Pang Sure used the same method to smash the second one. Whoa, these kids are pretty skilled. Both etched were taken down clean and efficient. The 2 dinosaur mechs retrieved heavy particle guns and advanced on the warehouse. They're hiding at the 15-degree clockwise position, the most concealed spot in the warehouse, about 3 meters from the door. The dinosaur mechs locked onto Pang Shure's position, using the sensors scattered from the robotic dogs. They opened fire with the heavy particle guns. The warehouse, built of thick steel plates, was riddled with bullet holes in an instant. Pang Sure and Pang, who had no choice but to escape from the other side. Isn't this a school training exercise? How are there such powerful dinosaur mechs here? Pang, who was on the verge of a breakdown. Without Pang Sure, he felt he would have been dead already. Still choosing this path. Pang Sure thought about how this was supposed to be school training, but the school couldn't guarantee student safety every time. Your life is in your own hands. In the distance, Song Qinfeng sensed something was wrong. He spotted the dinosaur mechs. Not even he, a seasoned figure, was confident he could handle them, let alone a few novice students. He dove into his battered van and floored the accelerator, breaking out in a cold sweat. A foreboding feeling told him this was far more complicated than it appeared. The students who came out with him might all be wiped out. After them, they had missed. The 2 pseudo-Zerg mechs AI analyzed the escape, recognizing textbook-level evasive maneuvers. No openings. This is bizarre. Are these really just students? Let ACHA keep scaring those losers. We're going after those 2. Haha, this is too fun. Its words were cut short as the mech in front let out a scream. A trap. They had left a trap on its companion was killed. A surge of rage flooded its circuits. Being outsmarted by mere insects was unbearable. However, before it could pass through the doorway, a figure appeared behind it, a fishing line wrapping around its neck, severing the dinosaur mech's head. Then a dagger was plunged deep into its core. Blood splattered. Dear leaders, I am Sunny Boy. I was tracked by pseudo-Zerg mechs and have successfully killed 2. Here are their bodies. Pang Sure spoke seriously to the camera. To prove his claim, he recorded the surrounding environment and even gave a close-up shot of the robotic dog remains in the warehouse. Ugh. Pang, who was vomiting violently. He hadn't gotten a good look before, but this time he saw it clearly. Inside the dinosaur mech, the head was just a human skull with numerous tubes extending from it. It looked like a grotesque insect, both nauseating and terrifying. You need to get used to this quickly. I'm not carrying any dead weight. Pang Shi said seriously. In the crime city, he wouldn't hesitate to abandon Pang Hu and leave alone. Let's go. Time to rescue the hostages. Pang Shi unstrapped the heavy particle gun from the dinosaur mech and handed it to Pang Hu. They headed back into the forest. The rustling sound was everywhere. Meanwhile, several other dinosaur mechs were converging rapidly. They had discovered that their comrades had lost contact. What a joke. There were casualties from hunting a few new What do we do? Chu Yanyan trembled in fear. Routine training was nothing like the real battlefield. She desperately needed to relieve herself, yet dreaded the sudden descent of danger. The torment was utterly unbearable. Shoo! Someone seems to be approaching over there. Among them, Li Haoran possessed the sharpest senses. There are 4 hostages controlled by the pseudo-bug mechs. Pang Shi reported in detail as he drew close. Each hostage he secured would earn him 5,000 dark energy coins. It was a far quicker way to earn than any other. It's Pang Shi. Wu Xiaya wept tears of joy. The pressure they had endured was immense. Had she known, she would never have joined Long Yunfei's operation. Don't be afraid, I'm here to rescue you. Now follow me out of here. Yes. Seeing their cooperation, Pang Shi was quite satisfied. He deactivated his recording device. He said coldly, this area is being surrounded. You'd better keep up with my pace. With that he dashed off. The others were left dumbfounded, questioning if that was even human speed. Pang Hu gritted his teeth and gave chase. Despite his bulky frame and the extra strain, he barely managed to match Pang Shi's velocity. He knew Pang Shi wouldn't flee without reason. Danger must be lurking nearby. Regardless, the earlier scraping sounds were a false alarm, but Li Haoran had no desire to linger there any longer. He followed suit, moving even faster than Pang Hu. Long Yunfei said, let's get out of here first. I've got a bad feeling about this too. He and Wu Xiaya joined the group. They were all retreating towards the city. Chu Yanyan, however, was exhausted after only a few steps. Having awakened a level 6 intellect, her constitution was weaker. Despite running for her life, she lagged behind. Roar, roar, roar. Soon dinosaur mechs were closing in from the distance. The oppressive aura of death was palpable even to Chu Yanyan. Despair filled her eyes. She never imagined her first training exercise would end like this. Being hunted by the dinosaur mechs slowly crushed her will to resist. There was absolutely no way she could outrun them. Chu Yanyan's fallen behind. Long Yunfei shouted, hoping Pang Shi would stop and go back for her. But Pang Shi ignored the plea. Maintaining a steady, coordinated pace, he sped towards the city. Roar! The dinosaur mechs roared with excitement as they spotted the isolated Chu Yanyan. A lone human girl. She was still fleeing, but her speed was pitifully slow. May the radiance of the deity shine upon this world, let fresh blood be the offering. Amidst the chants, the dinosaur mechs grew even more frenzied. They knew that beyond the girl more humans were fleeing, and they would all be caught. All to be offered to the great deity. In the distance, the roar of an engine cut through the air as Song Qingfeng raced towards them. He had already spotted the encircling dinosaur mechs. Regret gnawed at his heart. Why on this day had he brought these newly awakened students for special training? This was a nest of pseudo-bug mech. Even the mech squadrons of the reserve division wouldn't escape unscathed from an encounter like this. He had already alerted the security division and his old comrades in the reserve division. But it was too late. He could already smell death in the air. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared in his sight. 1, 2. His eyes welled up with tears. It was Pang Shi. He hadn't let anyone down. Despite the dire circumstances, he had led the students back. 3, 4, 5. Song Qingfeng's hair stood on end. 6 students, 1 was missing. He knew all too well what falling behind here meant. Where is Chu Yanyan? Song Qingfeng demanded, looking at the exhausted students. She fell behind. Long Yunfei said, too winded to run any further. Fortunately, he saw a glimmer of hope. Get in the car, we're going back for her. Song Qingfeng didn't hesitate. He wouldn't abandon any of his 6 students. There was no reason to. Hearing this, Pang Shi had already turned and was heading for the city on his own. What was the difference between going back now and committing suicide? 5,000 dark energy coins weren't worth risking his life for. Pang Hu followed him. The others stayed behind. Song Qingfeng's expression darkened. Asking them to join him in rescuing Chu Yanyan now would be a terrible decision. He had been impulsive, not calm. Even on the battlefield, such recklessness was unforgivable. Follow Pang Shi. The training exercise is over. Return to the city immediately. With that, he restarted his battered van and charged towards the dinosaur mechs surrounding Chu Yanyan. In the distance, Pang Shi stopped and turned to witness the scene. A peculiar glint flashed through his eyes. Still, he couldn't understand. Was it worth it to risk one's life for a stranger in the city of sin? Such a person would have died countless times over. Yet Song Qingfeng actually did it. He pushed the van's engine to its absolute limit. With a sharp drift, he screeched to a halt right in front of Chu Yanyan. Perhaps Song Qingfeng's arrival gave her the courage she needed. She scrambled into the van. Virum. The van lurched forward again. In the distance, the dinosaur mechs raised their heavy particle guns and unleashed a furious barrage. The van was riddled with bullets, some whizzing past Song Qingfeng's face, leaving trails of blood. His vision blurred. Despair welled up inside him as he realized it was over. He had saved Chu Yanyan, but this was the price of his impulsiveness. Neither he nor Chu Yanyan would survive. We stand opposed to evil to the bitter end. Now we'll destroy these dinosaur mechs. Bai Xiaobai, with her twin ponytails, led the bunny mercenary corps, charging out in a heavily armored vehicle. Their intense firepower forced the dinosaur mechs to halt. She kept them at bay, drawing all their fire. 7 hostages in total. The bunny mercenary corps stands against evil. From the 2 eyes on top of the armored vehicle, Bai Xiaobai gleefully spotted the pile of dark energy coins before her. The heavy vehicle rolled forward, pushing the dinosaur mechs back. Their firepower was their only option, but against the well-prepared mercenary corps, they couldn't gain any advantage. Boss Pang, it's Bai Xiaobai and her crew. Pang, who shouted in surprise. Finding his organization filled him with joy. The dinosaur mechs retreated while fighting. Bai Xiaobai pursued them, showing no intention of stopping. Boss Pang, what do we do now? Go back. It was their choice to chase after them. What's it got to do with me? Pang Shi said irritably. He walked towards the now even more battered van and asked, can any of you drive? I can, but I don't have a license. Li Haoran admitted truthfully. That's fine, none of us have licenses. But if those dinosaur mechs come back, we're all— Li Haoran didn't hesitate any longer. He helped Song Qingfeng into the back seat and took the wheel, speeding towards the city. Song Qingfeng's face was drenched in blood. The wounds, deep enough to show bone, made him look utterly disheveled. Yet he was smiling. Getting everyone back safely, whether by luck or skill, was a reason for him to be happy. Everyone performed well today. Now you should understand that outside the city it is not safe. Death lurks around every corner. And you have chosen an extremely perilous path. Though this path is filled with glory, offering you the chance to enter the city's core and stand at the pinnacle of humanity. But it is bought with blood. If any of you wish to quit, now is the time. Chu Yanyan was already sobbing, her head in her hands. Today she had come closer to death than ever before. If not for Song Qingfeng's reckless rescue and the final stroke of luck. With the arrival of the heavy vehicle, she would be dead. Only by staying alive could there be glory and infinite possibilities. Now she didn't want to continue this life. I quit, she said, crying. The others felt even heavier. Song Qingfeng nodded in silent acceptance. If that wound isn't treated, you'll be dead in 23 minutes. Pang Shi said coldly from the side. The students stared at Pang Shi in astonishment, realizing he was utterly devoid of empathy. He knew what to do, yet he made no move to help the teacher stop the bleeding. There's a roll of bandages in the storage box. Grab it for me. Song Qingfeng's consciousness was fading. He found Pang Shi's words quite reasonable. Long Yunfei, upon hearing this, retrieved the bandages and clumsily began to dress the wound. Yet the bleeding did not stop. Pang Shi remained vigilant, constantly monitoring the situation outside the vehicle, but showed no intention of lending a hand. Are you going to help or not? Wu Xiaoya was furious. Teacher Song was injured trying to save them, and now Pang Shi was acting like a bystander, showing no inclination to assist. It's fine, I can manage. Song Qingfeng shook his head and struggled to sit up. Now let me give you a live demonstration on how to apply a bandage. Meanwhile, Pang Shi heard a rumbling sound which filled him with a sense of foreboding. Sure enough, before long the heavy armored vehicle came fleeing back. It was followed by a formation of dinosaur mechs. If you don't want to die, drive faster. Woo, I'm already in 3rd gear. I haven't learned how to go any faster. Li Haoran was so nervous he could barely speak. Switch with me. Pang Shi grabbed the driver's seat without the vehicle even coming to a halt. However, he couldn't control the vehicle at all. The violent shaking tossed everyone around. Pang Shi, have you ever— No. But I just watched Li Haoran do it, and it looked easy. You just press the gas pedal, and it accelerates. He floored the gas pedal in the battered van, and it shot forward. Oh, you've put it in reverse. Long Yunfei was terrified as they were hurtling straight towards the dinosaur mech squad. Oh, sorry. I thought that was the fastest gear. The van screeched to a halt, then shot forward like an arrow from a bow. The jerky stop-and-go motion was incredibly uncomfortable. Fortunately, the roads were empty. Abandoned buildings lined the streets, which prevented any accidents. The students vowed never to ride in a vehicle driven by Pang Shi again. They arrived at the city gate. Pang Shi slammed on the brakes, and everyone was thrown forward, piling on top of each other. Their heads were all ringing. They felt they had nearly died, not from the dinosaur mech's guns, but from Pang Shi's driving. All right, you all head back on your own. I have things to do. With that, Pang Shi got out of the vehicle. Song Qingfeng, his head wrapped in bandages like a rice dumpling, called out urgently, Pang Shi, where are you going? It's dangerous out there. There was no response. Pang Shi pulled out his phone and dialed Bai Xiaobai. Don't run. Let's turn around and hit them. Are you crazy? Bai Xiaobai cursed in exasperation. The enemy wasn't just a few scattered dinosaur mechs. It was an entire mech battalion. She had charged in with the heavy armored vehicle and had nearly been scared out of her wits. Going back now was pure suicide. I'm not crazy. This is the perfect opportunity. Each one is worth 20,000 dark energy coins. Deal. The mention of money convinced Bai Xiaobai. After buying the modification parts, they couldn't even afford a proper meal. Life was utterly miserable. Behind them, Pang, who watched Pang Shi walk away alone, his emotions in turmoil. He knew that he could no longer keep up with Pang Shi's pace. He wasn't even qualified to be a mere follower. He was nothing but a burden now. This realization stung him deeply. He looked at his disheveled classmates. He spoke seriously to Song Qingfeng, teacher Song, and dropping out. Song Qingfeng was surprised, but nodded in agreement. In truth, dropping out wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Pang Shi boarded the heavy armored vehicle. The 10-centimeter thick titanium alloy body had been blasted with holes. 3 of the 5 team members were wounded. They were all as listless as frosted eggplants. The thought of turning back to attack was worse than death itself. Are you all coming or not? Bai Xiaobai asked sternly. The others exchanged startled glances, then replied firmly no. Right now, all they wanted was to go home to their mothers, not to die. Perhaps now isn't the best time, Bai Xiaobai said tactfully. Pang Shi fell silent, which she took as agreement. These people were in no shape for combat, so attacking now was indeed unwise. The armored vehicle was driven back and parked beneath a rundown residential building. Bai Xiaobai invited him, fancy a drink at the bar. Just then Pang Shi's phone rang. Pang Hu's voice came through. Brother Pang, I'm sorry I'm dropping out. Hearing Pang Hu's voice, Pang Shi felt that he had changed, though he couldn't pinpoint exactly how. Yet this change brought him a sense of relief. This path is too dangerous. Go live a normal life. No, Brother Pang. I'm going to get tested for the latest ultimate chip. I heard it was just developed and installation is free. Pang Hu spoke with great excitement. It was a crazy idea. A newly developed piece of black technology meant uncontrollable risks. Have you really thought it through? Pang Shi wouldn't try to dissuade him. In truth, the pursuit of strength was everyone's right, and any path taken deserved respect. Yes, Brother Pang, I've already signed up. Wish me luck. And if I succeed, there's a cool modification reward too. When I come back, I'll be strong, and I'll still have your back, Brother Pang. Good luck. After hanging up, Pang Shi felt like a drink and agreed to Bai Xiaobai's invitation. They passed through the chaotic red light district where scantily clad women brazenly solicited customers. Even Bai Xiaobai was accosted by some well-dressed young men. However, as long as you didn't show any hint of interest, they would back off. Otherwise, they arrived at the dark bar. Bai Xiaobai ordered 2 glasses of Youth's Dream and said apologetically, sorry, Brother Pang. Their modified prosthetics aren't enough to fight against the dinosaur mechs. If I went back, it would be suicide. It's fine. Now is the perfect time. Pang Shi recalled that during his last hunt, it was around dusk. 2 pseudo-Zergs were sound asleep inside their mechs. Perhaps heading to the outskirts of the city right now would be the prime hunting time. Bai Xiaobai was stunned. She couldn't believe Pang Shi was so audacious. Was this really just a student? She downed her drink in one gulp, breathing out a heavy cloud of alcoholic breath. Go now. This was way too intense. Pang Shi went to the bar counter and submitted the quest to Lia. With complete video evidence, Lia directly gave him 20,000 dark energy coins. She announced loudly, congratulations to Mr. Pang Woody for completing quest 10, slaying 2 dinosaur mechs, and earning a reward of 20,000 dark energy coins. The bar's atmosphere was brought to a fever pitch by Lia. Everyone was looking for who this Pang Woody was. It's Yue. Bai Xiaobai's eyes widened in astonishment. This guy was incredibly formidable. They had gone out with their entire armored vehicle team today and had come back empty-handed. Some members barely made it back. And yet Pang Shi had managed to get results. Her eyes were now filled with nothing but admiration. Come on, I'll go with you. Finishing their glasses of strong liquor in one gulp, the 2 of them left the city under the cover of night. They didn't call anyone else. Bai Xiaobai drove. She still felt uneasy. Do you know what we saw over there? It was a false deity. Bai Xiaobai gulped nervously as she said this. If a deity is present, it means this is a major stronghold for the pseudo-Zerg mechs. Cloud City is in for trouble. They must be here to stir up chaos. There's just the 2 of us and one battered armored vehicle. Are you sure you still want to go? Dinosaur mechs could be turned in for a reward at the dark bar, and then another reward at the bounty office. But you had to be alive to claim it. Clearly Bai Xiaobai thought this was far from a wise decision. Tonight is our last chance. I believe the reserve office has already caught on. If they make a move tomorrow, we won't have such a good opportunity again. Pang Shi stated with certainty. His gaze was resolute. Tonight would be sleepless. The hunt begins. Bai Xiaobai parked the armored vehicle beside the abandoned factory. Pang Shi, swift as a leopard, dashed out and quickly vanished into the darkness. Having been momentarily distracted, Bai Xiaobai lost sight of him. Her rabbit ears twitched, picking up the sound of Pang Shi's heartbeat, and she leaped to follow. Pang Shi pressed his palms against the steel framework clinging to the wall. Above him at a slight angle was a small ventilation opening. From this vantage point, the factory's interior was clearly visible. An unmodified, ordinary human. Bai Xiaobai was astonished. She had observed Pang Shi closely, confirming he had no modifications. A true, ordinary person. Yet his explosive power surpassed even E-class heavily modified individuals. Even Bai Xiaobai, without activating her external energy assist, would have to think twice about facing Pang Shi. This realization only fueled her excitement. She had faced a dinosaur mech Hedon and won decisively. But before Pang Shi, that felt insignificant, especially since he wasn't even wearing his mech. With his mech, Pang Shi's abilities would be even greater. He leaped up, and Bai Xiaobai joined him, mimicking his posture to secure herself. Peering into the factory, her legs nearly gave way. For mechs stood facing them, their eyes glowing with red light. "Don't move," their sleeping Pang Shi whispered. "Can you take on 4 mechs at once?" Bai Xiaobai whispered back, thinking they were facing 4 dinosaur mechs. Each held a heavy particle gun, a single hit would be fatal. Pang Shi had one on his back too. But whether it could even penetrate their armor was uncertain. "No," Pang Shi replied honestly. If the mechs woke and spotted him, he couldn't evade the crossfire of 4 heavy particle guns. "We take 2 each, finish within a minute. Even if the robot dogs raise an alarm, they won't fully wake up." Bai Xiaobai still thought it was too risky. She felt she could handle one without pressure. "Fine. You take the one near the door." After a moment's thought, Bai Xiaobai agreed to Pang Shi's plan. Pang Shi spoke to the camera. "Hello, everyone, I'm Sunshine Big Boy, and I've discovered a new stronghold of the pseudo-bug race. There are 4 of them in total, and we must stand resolutely against the forces of evil." Bai Xiaobai was all too familiar with this scene. She never understood why Pang Shi always got paid for this while she had to rely on luck. After finishing, Pang Shi leaped down through the vent agile as a monkey. He landed almost silently. Moving in a serpentine pattern, he reached one mech. His hands encircled it. A closer look revealed a fine fishing line in his grasp. He didn't sever the dinosaur mech's head, controlling the force perfectly. He repeated the process on the others. What astonished Bai Xiaobai was, none of the mechs woke up. Signaling Bai Xiaobai to act, Pang Shi kicked off one mech's head. As he lunged towards another, he fired a bullet without even looking. In a flash, he had neutralized 2 mechs. The last one woke up at that moment. Roar! A hail of bullets swept towards him. With flawless footwork, Pang Shi dodged, circled behind the dinosaur mech, and kicked its head off, ending its existence. It all happened so fast. Bai Xiaobai watched in awe. This must be the peak of human potential. No modifications, no mech, relying purely on sheer strength. Facing 3 mechs at once, a total victory. Even with the element of surprise, Bai Xiaobai was stunned. Screech. Outside, robot dogs ran in, emitting alarm sounds. Back to the armored vehicle. Head east for 300 meters near Cloud City. We'll go there. Bai Xiaobai thought Pang Shi would retreat. But he didn't. Your actions must have been relayed to their false god by the robot dogs. We should go back now. Bai Xiaobai was speechless. Given the situation, securing 4 mechs was already an incredible windfall. Wasn't that enough? Pang Shi recorded the video, collected the guns from the dinosaur mechs, and left satisfied. Their mechs can sell for over 1,000 each. You want to take one back too? Really? Pang Shi inwardly lamented his past lack of experience. He hadn't known these things could be sold. Bai Xiaobai now regretted it. The armored vehicle now carried several grotesque trophies. Though the bunny mercenary corps was strapped for cash, they would never scavenge dinosaur mechs. The pseudo-bug race inside was too disgusting and horrifying. Elsewhere, a young man wearing a dinosaur cap was seething with rage, staring at the footage transmitted by the robot dogs. He pounded his chest with his fist. Great deity, there are no such fools in our ranks. He had ordered the mechs to approach Cloud City. Instead, several were directly hunted down. And by an unprotected human. Stupid, utterly stupid. Bring back their bodies. The divine race will not tolerate such a disgrace. Roar, roar, roar. Countless dinosaur mechs scattered around echoed the fury. This was a profound humiliation. The robot dogs began to move, following the scent of blood. At a new location, they had just claimed 2 more mechs, filling the armored vehicle to the brim. Bai Xiaobai was eager for more. Everything was going smoothly, and she wanted to hunt a few more. The money was easy. But Pang Shi frowned, saying, "Let's go back. They're coming." What? Bai Xiaobai's heart pounded, and she floored the accelerator. Was the dinosaur cap guy coming? Yet they drove all the way back to the Cloud City residential area without any sign of trouble. This made her doubt Pang Shi's judgment. "Want to come up?" At the entrance, Bai Xiaobai's rabbit ears twitched, a slight blush on her face. It was late at night, and the neon lights from the rooftop cast a glow on her, masking the flutter in her heart. The light draped over her like a radiant garment, making her long, fair legs even more dazzling. Her voluptuous figure and Lolita-style outfit were enough to stop anyone in their tracks, especially when she was the one extending the invitation. Yet it was she whose breath was quickening, not her guest. "I don't sell my body." Pang Shi recalled the scenes from the red light district, a chill running down his spine. "You." Bai Xiaobai was furious. She turned to leave in a huff. "Today's haul, you get 3 shares, I get 1. They'll transfer the cash to you." "Thanks." The night in Cloud City was dim and quiet. Only occasional lights pierced the darkness for passers-by. Tonight, however, seemed unsettled. Or rather, something that shouldn't be there appeared on the streets. Screech. A terrifying sound emanated from the pipes and the shadows. It filled the outskirts of Cloud City. This place had been invaded. Humanity was still unaware. Perhaps Pangshur already knew. But he had no reason to risk himself, so his figure slipped through the streets, a midnight phantom, making no extra. Back home, Pang, who called. Brother Pang, my application was approved. Woo. Whether from joy or excitement. Pang, who sobbed on the phone. He'll never have a chance to enter Star Academy again. But it's for the most advanced ultimate chip. If I succeed, he'll definitely enter the Star Fortress. Then I can still follow you, Brother Pang. My mother raised me all by herself, though I won't let her down, woo-woo. Pang, who was so excited he was incoherent, but Pang sure heard the hope in his voice. Despite being in the dark, Pang, who always seemed to harbor hopes for the future, even if replacing his chip with an ultimate one was a near-death gamble. Only such a chance would fall to someone like him, without connections, and he was still thrilled. Good luck. Looking out at the terrifying sounds hidden in the darkness. Pang sure knew that being ordinary meant death. Pang Hu's choice was the right one. Morning. Pang sure rose at his usual hour, and after preparing himself he headed to school. The classroom stood empty and hollow, a stark contrast to the intense training of the day before. Only Li Haoranlong Yunfei and Wu Xiaoye remained. They had not given up. The other classes are in a similar state. Across the 6 classes in our school, only 20 of us are left, Li Haoran said, his voice laced with dejection. I used to hear about how glorious it was to go to the Star Fortress, that you could at least enter the core of Cloud City upon graduation. Long Yunfei said, his former arrogance replaced by a sense of helplessness. But now it seems even surviving is a challenge. Haven't you heard? The graduation rate at Star Academy is only 10%, and more than half of the students don't even live to see graduation day, Wu Xiaoye said. As the only girl in the class, she appeared surprisingly optimistic. Her eyes held a glimmer of hope for the future. Pangshur walked into the classroom. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. Wu Xiaoye invited him. There are only 4 of us left in the class. Do you want to join us? He gave no answer. On his way to school, Pangshur had noticed several areas under heavy control. Perhaps today's special training would be cancelled. Indeed. Soon after, the school's loudspeakers crackled to life. After a piercing shriek, Zhao Dahai's oily voice echoed. Attention, all students are prohibited from leaving their classrooms. All teachers assemble on the playground. From the playground, a chaotic uproar could be heard, and the faint scent of blood drifted through the air. Zhao Dahai's voice plunged the school's mood into a deep gloom. Everyone was anxiously asking, what's going on? Their hearts felt as heavy as if a stone had been placed upon them. It's a deity. Cloud City is under invasion, someone shouted in terror. A deity. At the mention of that title, the students' hearts grew even heavier. Every time it appeared, it heralded massive casualties. At that moment, the teachers assembled on the playground. It was clear the situation was dire. The reserve division of Cloud City was already on the verge of collapse. Where are you going? A surprised voice called out from behind. It was Wu Xiaoye. Despite the notice forbidding students from leaving the classroom, Pangshur had already darted out. He made his way to the rooftop of the teaching building, producing a heavy particle rifle, as if by magic. At the city gates of Cloud City, several hundred dinosaur mechs had gathered. Great deity, let your radiant light shine upon us. Great deity, let your radiant light shine upon us. They pounded their chests with their fists, producing a sonorous metallic clang. Wave after wave of sound echoed into the distance. Today is the day we wash away our sins. We shall tread upon the corpses of these insects, staining this land crimson with their blood. Our name shall be etched into the memory of the deity. Our name shall be etched into the memory of the deity. These chants reached Pangshur's ears. A sense of dread settled over Pangshur. The situation was indeed grim. For them to boldly show their faces like this, they must have a firm grasp of Cloud City's vulnerabilities. Even now, there was no sign of the reserve division. The fact that only a small mech squad from the security division was on the streets spoke volumes. On the school's playground, all the teachers had assembled, including Song Qingfeng. They were armed to the teeth with laser guns and smart armor, looking somewhat formidable. However, Pangshur knew this was merely self-assurance. If the dinosaur mech forces broke through the city gate defense, the security division's chances of holding were slim. Based on past experience, these pseudo-bug mech squads would directly attack vital facilities like schools, hospitals, and residential areas. Ordinary Cloud City no. 3 Middle School was facing a severe threat. Charge! After a series of solemn battle cries at the city gate, the dinosaur mech group launched its first assault. Bang bang bang. Intense gunfire erupted, spreading from the city gate. On the city walls, electromagnetic cannons began charging, ionizing the surrounding air. The thick titanium alloy gates remained sealed, enduring wave after wave of attacks. With a resounding crack, the dinosaur mech retreated beyond the cannon's range, and 2 mobile fortresses slowly emerged. They emitted a thunderous roar. Glass siege fortresses. My god, the pseudo-bug mechs have brought out their heavy weaponry this time. This news quickly spread back from Cloud City. Yet it fell on deaf ears like a stone dropped into the ocean. Where is the reserve division? Why are they nowhere to be seen? The security division quickly assembled near the city gate. To their astonishment, they found that the reserve division, which should have been guarding the city walls, was completely absent. Was this some kind of joke? Could their equipment possibly withstand its glass siege fortress? They'd be lucky to last 3 minutes. A wave of despair washed over them, yet no one retreated. Comrades, behind us are the ordinary citizens. If we fail to hold this gate, they will face these armored Totha-teeth dinosaur mechs with nothing but their bare bodies. Our families, our wives, and our children live out there. Do you want to let the dinosaur mechs into the city? No. Tears streamed down the faces of the security division members. Many of them, like Song Qingfeng, were veterans retired from the front lines. Though wounded, they still possessed their fighting spirit. They would never retreat a single step in the face of the enemy. We may be old, but we are not dead. If you want to disrupt Cloud City, you'll have to walk over our corpses. Silence fell over the crowd. They turned back one by one to glance at their homes, preparing themselves for sacrifice. Boom. A violent explosion echoed clearly from the city gate. It was laced with the scent of blood. The security division squad that had just been taking their oath was instantly decimated. No one could withstand an attack of such intensity. On the school's playground, Song Qingfeng charged out first. He was incredibly fast, his mechanical prosthetics stronger than any normal pair of legs. Protect Cloud City. He looked somewhat ridiculous, just as foolish as those in the security division. From the rooftop, Pang Shi watched it all unfold with perfect clarity. Wu Xiaoya sat beside him, witnessing everything, tears streaming down her face. Isn't this world all about self-interest? Pang Shi asked with a hint of surprise. He couldn't fathom the point of rushing into the fray at a time like this. If one wanted to protect their family, wouldn't it be more practical to take them and flee? Charging against heavy firepower with such inferior equipment would lead to certain death and nothing else. His cold words fell on Wu Xiaoya's ears, leaving her breathless with indignation. She roared in anger. Not everyone should live like the Walking Dead. We are born for greatness, we refuse to be mediocre. When faced with a powerful enemy, we charge forward even unto death. Some people are alive, but they are already dead. Some people are dead, yet they will live forever. They live on in people's hearts. Wu Xiaoya's shout reminded Pang Shi of the portraits displayed in the station. Their colors had faded to ash, yet they were still hung there. But what was the point? Even with his armor and 2 mechanical limbs, Song Qingfeng stood no chance against the formidable firepower of the siege fortress. Where are you going? Wu Xiaoya called out loudly. There was no answer. Pang Shi had already walked out of the school gates. In truth, no one would bother managing them now. They'll go take a look, Pang Shi replied, a rare response. He wanted to go to the city gate to see what Song Qingfeng intended to do there. Would he truly abandon everything for a futile sacrifice? Why were humans so complicated? Pang Shi needed an answer, yet at that moment, he was also afraid to find out. It was as if neither Song Qingfeng running away nor charging forward was the outcome he desired. For the first time since leaving the city of Xin Pang, Shi felt a pang of inner conflict. At the city gate, blood was splattered everywhere, and the ground was littered with blasted wreckage. Members of the security division, under immense danger, were clearing away the bodies of their fallen comrades. Above, the high-energy electromagnetic cannon fired rings of energy, fiercely bombarding the glass siege fortress in an attempt to halt its advance. Boom! Crackling explosions and electromagnetic screeches erupted from the city walls, thundering in the distance. No one dared approach the area where heavy firepower was concentrated. Even the dinosaur mech squadron was waiting for the outcome of the clash. Only if the electromagnetic cannons were destroyed would they have a chance to breach Cloud City. Of course, that time was not far off. The glass siege fortress possessed devastating destructive power. Boom! Explosion after explosion tore through the sky, their immense shock waves deafening. Before long, several electromagnetic cannons were destroyed. The massive energy electromagnetic rings within were exposed, and Song Qingfeng risked his life to retrieve them. He was handling them with professional precision. The security bureau officers watched and understood his intentions. In the 25th century, he was preparing to use the most primitive method. He planned to wield the high-energy electromagnetic ring and destroy the siege fortresses outside. This meant he would never return alive. However, it had to be said, this was currently the most effective method. You will die, a security bureau officer roared. They had barely survived their frontline service to retire, and every one of them cherished their lives, including Song Qingfeng. He had lost his legs. It should not be his responsibility to bear this now. Give it to me, I can detonate it too. Knowing it was a suicide mission, no one retreated. Pang Shi, hidden nearby, witnessed this scene clearly. A ripple of shock stirred in his heart. In Sin City, there was no principle of saving others. No one would sacrifice their life to protect someone else. He had personally witnessed a group of people fighting tooth and nail over a bloodstained bun. In the end, they all died by his hand. Everything was for survival. Now, why were these people acting this way? Why could they charge into the gunfire without hesitation? Were people truly different from one another? He couldn't understand. He even failed to grasp Wu Xiaoya's words. Some people are dead, yet they lived. Some people are alive, yet they are already dead. In his view, dead was dead. How could such a notion exist? It was utterly ridiculous. Even now he didn't see any meaning in these people scrambling to die. Images flashed through his mind. A middle-aged man sneering, holding a rope, advanced step by step towards him. The old man who had cared for him turned around and sold him out. They were all dead. Along the way, Pang Shi's hands were stained with too much blood. They were all human. He believed they were all the same, selfish and cruel. Living was just a transaction. Meanwhile, the mercenary corps erupted in collective uproar. We demand to fight. Let us return to our posts and protect our families. They stood at the boundary of the core district, each one roaring madly. They defied the orders of their superior Guajenhua. There was no response. Worse, they received word that abandoning their posts would result in severe punishment. At this moment, Song Qingfeng was ready. He carried enough high-energy electromagnetic rings. After modifications, all he needed was to gently pull the protective device. The electromagnetic ring would explode. The immense energy it contained was enough to destroy 2 siege fortresses. Without the fortress fire control suppression, the Security Bureau comrades would have a chance to counterattack. Song Qingfeng turned his head. He glanced towards the direction of the 3rd high school where no one was there to see him off. No cheers either. Only a few veterans retired from the front lines like himself were present. Filled with fervor, they roared, "Charge!" In the residential buildings, countless ordinary civilians emerged carrying iron shovels. They looked so fragile, yet their steps were resolute. They stood behind the Security Bureau. It turned out that the one filled with fervor was not a single person but a crowd. They could set aside life and death to protect their homeland. Charge! The waves of shouts rose higher and higher, resounding across Cloud City. People in the distance were moved to tears. Compared to the cowardly mercenary corps, these people were far more worthy of the title warriors. Song Qingfeng refused help. In the end, he alone shouldered the high-energy electromagnetic ring and charged towards the siege fortress. Pang Shi quietly slipped into the crowd, his gaze fixed on Song Qingfeng. In his view, Song Qingfeng must have a hidden trump card, a way to retreat from there at a critical moment. He must have at least 3 or more life-saving tricks. The ordinary people witnessing all this wiped their tears. He saw Song Qingfeng using a shield for cover, exit the city under fire support, and successfully placed the energy ring beneath the fortress. He smiled as he pulled the high-energy electromagnetic ring. The violent explosion brought everything to a standstill. In the corridor of a residential building, Pang Shi frantically devoured the star core, his chest heaving violently. His body was lacerated and bloodied by the blast's energy. Song Qingfeng lay unconscious beside him. In the final moment, Pang Shi had entered a special state and pulled Song Qingfeng back to safety. It was purely instinctual. Even he himself couldn't quite understand why he had done it. Perhaps he was infected by the emotion of the scene. Those people like Song Qingfeng had faced death without fear in that moment, charging at the pseudo-Zerg mechs. It was like a raging tidal wave sweeping over Pang Shi's heart. Before he could even think, he had entered that special state. Now both siege fortresses were destroyed. Among the dinosaur mech squadron, the youth wearing the dinosaur cap roared, "Roar! Why don't you learn from them and show loyalty to the deity? If you hadn't retreated, would the fortresses have been destroyed?" His eyes were bloodshot. He raged and screamed, but it was futile. On the city gate, although only one electromagnetic cannon remained, it was enough to suppress the firepower of the dinosaur mechs. This battle was no longer in question. The youth was seething with rage. He hadn't even seen a fully formed battle line before they were defeated. With his powerful dinosaur mech squadron, he could find no reason for this failure. "I'm alive." Song Qingfeng stood up, asking in shock and disbelief. He checked himself and found he was not only alive, but completely unharmed. Had the detonation failed? He rushed out immediately. Only then did he realize the situation outside was already under control, meaning he had succeeded. But why was he still alive? Was charging out like that really worth it? A somewhat cold voice sounded from behind. Song Qingfeng spun around, locking eyes with Pang Shi. At this moment, his emotions surged. He clenched his fists and said with unwavering certainty, "Yes. I want to protect my family, to protect this beautiful earth." That is its meaning. Those smiling faces, those lovely people, weren't they worth protecting? Song Qingfeng wanted to ask Pang Shi, but in the end, he didn't say it out loud. His gaze towards Pang Shi gradually softened. A light had been kindled in Pang Shi's heart, and it would naturally grow towards the sun. A massive crisis had passed. What was infuriating was that the reserve corps, who should have stood up, had become deserters. They had not fulfilled their duty, instead guarding the core area of Cloud City. No attack had occurred there. The outer perimeter of Cloud City, which needed protection the most, was treated as a discard by them. Facing the outcry, Guajenhua of the reserve corps retorted confidently, "The interstellar fortresses are under strain, and a large number of reservists have been deployed to the front lines. The most critical area in Cloud City to protect is the core district. My decision is not wrong. Damn it. No wonder he's on the bounty list. He's infuriating." The mercenary groups cursed loudly. Many bounty hunters began to mobilize, aiming to take his head. The bounty at the dark bar directly doubled, reaching the 20 million mark. Bai Xiaobai was thrilled. She downed her youth dream drink and said to Pang Shi, "Compared to hunting dinosaur mechs, this clearly pays faster." "Do you think the leader of the reserve corps is stupid?" Pang Shi retorted, earning him a big eye roll from her. "Hey, race 94200 Dark Energy, coins your share from the last collaboration." Oh, leaving the dark bar, Pang Shi returned home. Just as he lay down, Pang Hu called. Pang Hu had just received the chip implant. The outcome was unknown. Pang Shi also felt a twinge of nervousness. "I made it, Pang. 500 people joined the event, but only 3 of us woke up after the chip was implanted. Impressive, right? And we even got a brand new modification plan for free." On the phone, Pang Hu's voice brimmed with excitement, as if he were talking about something utterly ordinary. "Pang, wait till I get back. He'll be the sharpest guy in Cloud City. He'll have your back then, Pang Ha." Hearing Pang Hu's news, Pang Shi was pleased, though he couldn't help but marvel at his friend's remarkably short-sighted enthusiasm. He had succeeded. "When are you coming back?" "They said I need time to adapt, probably a year from now. I won't be able to contact you every day anymore." At that, Pang Hu's tone turned noticeably somber. "It's fine. Take care of yourself. Hopefully we can head to the Star Fortress together by then." Pang Shi encouraged him. "Deal, it's a promise." Pang Hu replied quickly. This had always been their shared act. After leaving Sin City, Pang Shi found it hard to adapt to this unfamiliar life. The Star Fortress, he set that as his goal. Once he rescued that person trapped in Sin City, he would go there. Pang Hu, of course, supported this wholeheartedly. The dinosaur mecha's assault was soon repelled once it lost the cover of the attack fortress. Cloud City returned to its usual calm, as if nothing had ever happened. Song Qingfeng's act of valor was never officially acknowledged by the core group. All of them fell silent simultaneously, including the mainstream media. Not just Song Qingfeng, but also the retired veterans who had fought bravely and the fallen members of the security division. They were only mentioned in a small internal notice and given a paltry sum of compensation. And with that, the matter was closed. Online, some cried out against the injustice, voicing their grievances. But such voices were quickly drowned out by the torrent of information. Instead, the media gave extensive coverage to another event. All middle school graduates who chose to apply to Star Academy were to undergo a training camp in the Demon Forest. In the classroom, Song Qingfeng stood at the podium, looking as composed as ever, his gaze on the 4 remaining students. "You've all been through special training and have had plenty of regular drills. This time, including students from 6 ordinary and 3 elite middle schools, a total of 200 will enter the Demon Forest. The mercenary division has already swept the area to ensure no unexpected incidents occur. However, the creatures in the Demon Forest are highly aggressive after mutation. Be careful, and if you can't hold on, giving up is a perfectly good choice." As he said this, Song Qingfeng's expression dimmed slightly. Perhaps he wasn't a qualified teacher. No teacher should ever advise their students to quit. After the bloody battles in the Star Fortress and yesterday's life and death ordeal, he realized that living an ordinary life in Cloud City was a true blessing. Why couldn't his students just live out their lives in peace? It was a selfish thought, but it was what had led him to say those words. After class, Pang Shi, you have the day to prepare. Let's take a walk outside, Song Qingfeng invited. All right, Pang Shi agreed without hesitation. That figure clutching the massive electromagnetic ring and charging toward the fortress might have been battered and desperate, but it left an unforgettable impression. Star Academy is not what you imagine. It's true that it's always at the top of the rankings, but its admission rate is low, its dropout rate is high, and its graduation rate is abysmal. Yes, those who do make it out become humanity's most outstanding contributors. But they all succeeded by stepping over the corpses of others. Many never even finish their studies before they die in the Star Fortress. If you can give it up. Song Qingfeng's face was filled with dejection and his heart ached as he spoke these words. Silence. Pang Shi didn't answer. He looked up at the sky as if he could pierce through the mist and see the fortress in the void. In Sin City, killing is allowed without consequence. Everyone lives only for themselves, to kill or be killed. I used to think Cloud City was the same, just with a veneer of civility and the rules set by the Star Pavilion. But yesterday I realized something is different here. Pang Shi walked alongside Song Qingfeng toward the bounty hall. I want to go to the Star Fortress to see it for myself. Are they really as honorable as the Vanguard's portraits make them out to be? Or are they just like Guo Jinhua, selfish and indifferent to others' lives? Hearing Pang Shi speak so much for the first time, Song Qingfeng smiled with relief. Indeed, no amount of words could compare to witnessing things firsthand. Thank you. Song Qingfeng saluted, following the formal custom of the fortress. When Head gone home, yesterday Head thought it over. Pang Shi was the only one who would have come to save him. But how had Pang Shi managed it? He didn't press the matter, though everyone had their secrets. If it were some special ability or method, it would be better kept hidden, never exposed. Anyone who returned alive from Sin City was bound to be different. This is what you deserve. Pang Shi produced 200 dark energy coins. Head borrowed them last time to buy the Star Core. Once again Song Qingfeng felt like he and Pang Shi were on completely different wavelengths. Did his salute mean he was asking for the 200 coins back? At the bounty hall. Look, I took down 2 mechas and rescued the students. That should earn me 40000 dark energy coins. Pang Shi presented the video evidence, speaking seriously. Song Qingfeng's jaw dropped. During that training session with the students he knew exactly what had happened. When Head sensed the danger he thought it was too late. But everyone had made it back safely. Had been puzzled about that, so it was all because of Pang Shi. At this moment he was deeply shaken. Given the chance Pang Shi would surely rise to greatness and become a pillar of humanity. But that path was fraught with hardship. Out of a population of over 10 billion, only one Qin Changming had emerged. The review was completed quickly. Pang Shi received his reward of 600 dark energy coins as expected. He handed them to Song Qingfeng and said, "Buy me 3-star cores." "You're not coming." Song Qingfeng was surprised. Pang Shi never trusted anyone. And now he was entrusting him with such a large sum. "No, I have things to do." With that he turned and walked away, as if he were confident Song Qingfeng would help him. Was this what trust felt like? Holding the heavy bag, Song Qingfeng smiled at the thought. Under intense public pressure, the mercenary division, though it never issued an apology, did carry out a swift crackdown on the surrounding areas. Now that they had completed their mission and withdrawn, it was the perfect time for hunting. Pang Shi naturally wouldn't miss this chance, and neither would the Rabbit mercenary group. They drove their heavy armored vehicles out of Cloud City. If I could catch a dinosaur mecha, I could buy the latest mechanical arm and level up my combat power. If, can you guys have some ambition? You come back empty-handed every single time and still have the nerve to call yourselves mercenaries. Bai Xiaobai roared in frustration. Can't you learn something from Pang Shi? All you do is loaf around all day. She had no patience for these people at all. They were simply too foolish, lacking both combat prowess and intelligence. The thought of her own IQ being dragged down by associating with them made Bai Xiaobai even angrier. Boss, we're innocent. We've been trying our best. He's just a student. Is he really as tough as you say? He doesn't even have a mechanical arm. Are you just smitten with his looks? The other 5 team members were openly contemptuous of Pang Shi, insinuating that had only gotten his position by currying favor with Bai Xiaobai. Ignorant. Bai Xiaobai rolled her eyes, offering no further explanation. Once they witnessed Pang Shi's formidable combat skills, they'd naturally be won over. The heavy armored vehicle rumbled across a charred wasteland. The land here was ravaged by war, leaving only the acrid scent of gunpowder in the air. Most of the surrounding factory buildings had collapsed with debris scattered everywhere, remnants of both human soldiers and dinosaur mechs. Blood had stained the earth crimson, casting a desolate and dreary atmosphere. "There's nothing left here, we can't even get a scrap of food to nibble on," one of them lamented. The members of the Rabbit mercenary group were getting cold feet. "You're such a fool." Bai Xiaobai's chest heaved with frustration. "If dinosaur mechs were everywhere, would you even dare to come here?" The complainer fell silent, having no retort. The heavy armored vehicle continued its journey through the wilderness. Beyond the scorched earth, a forest began to emerge. Towering trees over 3 meters thick stood everywhere with dense foliage. A sinister wind swept through, producing a rustling sound. Caw-caw. Crows circled overhead, their ominous cries adding to the eerie atmosphere. "Stop," Pang Shi suddenly commanded. Once the vehicle halted, he leaped out, disappearing into the dense forest in a few agile bounds. Bai Xiaobai was left feeling uncertain. "Hey, wait for us. We all came here together, didn't we?" Shortly after, Pang Shi returned, dragging the corpse of a mech behind him. "There was just one straggler, no need for more of us to go. This wreck is for you all to split." "Hey, you're quite generous, aren't you?" Pang Shi's gesture of goodwill earned him favor among the others. However, Bai Xiaobai was puzzled. The dinosaur mech had been hidden behind a tree, and they were all inside the vehicle. How did Pang Shi detect it? And how could he be so certain that there was only one solitary mech? Such perception could only be described as terrifying. "Pang Shi, don't tell me you've awakened a quantum ultimate brain." Bai Xiaobai's rabbit ears trembled as she asked. She had always believed the quantum ultimate brain was a myth. "Maybe, I'm not sure. There's no chip in my head." "Huh." Bai Xiaobai rolled her eyes dramatically, feeling utterly confused. "Let's move. We should aim to hunt down a few more dinosaur mechs tonight." "All right." Unlike Bai Xiaobai's curiosity, the others were clearly more interested in the hunt. "Let's park the armored vehicle here. There's no road ahead." After giving the order, Bai Xiaobai looked at Pang Shi as if seeking his approval. "Yeah." Behind the third tree on the left, there are 2 lone dinosaur mechs. Behind the largest tree on the right, there's 1 more. And there are 4 in the crater up ahead. Everyone disembark quietly. Pang Shi added. They could have accepted it if his earlier success was just luck. But now being able to pinpoint the exact location of every mech clearly demonstrated that it was skill, not luck. Damn, a quantum ultimate expert, truly formidable. The members of the Rabbit mercenary group now realized how powerful Pang Shi was. They all imitated him, sitting still and trying to sense their surroundings. However, all they could hear was the wind and the crows. Brother Pang, how should we divide up the targets after we get off? Bai Xiaobai conceded her leadership, deferring to Pang Shi. There was no choice given his superior perception. The 4 dinosaur mechs in the trench are currently weak. All 5 of you should go together and just open fire with your guns. Bai Xiaobai, you'll handle the one behind the tree on the right. Be very careful. Leave the 2 mechs on the left to me. Upon hearing this, they were ready to move out. Pang Shi stopped them. Start counting 10 breaths from the moment you get off the vehicle, then attack. His orders were clear and precise, leaving the Rabbit Bunny mercenary group members in awe. Unlike Bai Xiaobai, who was quick to scold, Pang Shi inspired a sense of trustworthiness. 10 breaths later, all gunfire erupted simultaneously. The stench of blood was pungent. In the sky, the crows' calls grew closer. Their wings stirred the wind as they swooped directly towards the mercenary group. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Heavy particle beams struck its body, producing the sound of burning fur. Unfazed, the crow grabbed one of the mercenaries. It prepared to take flight. Its cawing, now much closer, was deafening. Pang Shi raised his gun and fired, hitting the crow directly in the eye. The crow, struck with pain, dropped its prey and flapped away in a panic. The group watched the retreating shadow, their eyes filled with deep fear. The injured man was in critical condition. The prosthetic on his shoulder was pierced, crackling with sparks. Get back in the vehicle now, Pang Shi urged anxiously. Out in the wild, the heavy scent of blood would attract all sorts of predators, making it far too dangerous. They didn't dare linger, scrambling back into the vehicle and speeding towards the city. On the way back, they could see other mercenaries, all out for the same purpose of hunting dinosaur mechs. Why was that crow so powerful? The others swallowed hard. Cloud City had been sealed off for a long time and had only been open for the past 10 years. People had grown accustomed to not leaving the city. It was only recently, with the appearance of these missions, that they had left Cloud City. They recalled that crossing between cities required paying exorbitant fees to hire and shrank mercenary group. That was far beyond their level. The creatures they had seen before were all normal. They hadn't expected the outside world to have changed so drastically. It must be nuclear radiation. All the creatures outside have mutated, someone in the group, who seemed knowledgeable, explained. This is terrifyingly dangerous. Even heavy particle weapons were useless against it. Humans were as weak as ants in its presence. Even if they were modified, they wouldn't stand a chance. If it weren't for Brother Pang today, we would have been in serious trouble, the injured member said gratefully. His arms were ruined, but he considered himself lucky to have escaped with his life. It's nothing, Pang Shi replied calmly. He surveyed their surroundings. It was clear that continuing the hunt was no longer an option. The Rabbit Bunny mercenary group members were pleased with their haul. Their faces beamed with satisfaction. Brother Pang, when are we going out again? I'm heading to the Demon Forest for training tomorrow, so I won't be available for a while. Upon hearing this, they all felt a sense of regret. But at the mention of the Demon Forest, they gave him thumbs up. Impressive. Even we wouldn't dare set foot there. Truly worthy of someone who has awakened a quantum brain. In truth, even Pang Shi was uncertain of the core group's intentions. Was the Demon Forest really a suitable place for their new recruits' training? Or was there some hidden agenda? He could only take things one step at a time. Pang Shi sent the video to Bai Xiaobai and collected 60,000 dark energy coins from her. It was already late at night when he got home. According to the rules, I cannot accompany you to the Demon Forest, Song Qingfeng said. While you're there, you must think carefully, stay alert, and don't easily trust what your eyes see. And finally, I hope you all make it back alive. Song Qingfeng's heart was heavy. He hoped his students would succeed, yet a part of him wished they would give up. Perhaps he needed to see a psychiatrist. As the others boarded the bus, Song Qingfeng stopped Pang Shi and placed 3 star cores into his hand. He implored, if possible, please bring them back alive, okay? There was no answer, for Pang Shi could not promise such a thing. He never made casual promises. Take care, Song Qingfeng said with a heavy heart. All right. This time a response came which slightly eased his mood. On the school bus, Long Yunfei and Li Haoran were buzzing with excitement. They say there are over 100 species of animals in the Demon Forest, and the most fearsome are the mutated gorillas with their invincible defenses. Yeah, I looked it up online. Even the weakest rat there could cripple an entire city. And there's a pack animal called the spotted hyena with a terrifying bite force. Even a mech squad would have to flee if they encountered them. Listening to their conversation, Wu Xiaya frowned. Wasn't this training tantamount to suicide? Why would the Star Pavilion organize such a drill and even include students from the core academy? If casualties were high, how would they answer to the people? Actually, this training isn't dangerous at all, Pang Yunfei said mysteriously. He seemed to have some inside information. From what I've heard, both young Master Lu and young Master Lin from the core group are here. How could there be any danger? Use your common sense. If these people are going to the Demon Forest, their safety is guaranteed. So relax. All we need to do is hunt monsters and gain experience. Who knows, we might even get a chance. Long Yunfei appeared quite excited. Unlike the others who knew nothing, he seemed to have some inkling of the inside story. The vehicles dropped them off at the edge of the Demon Forest and then departed together. This surprised Pang Shi. Their actions went against the usual style of Cloud City. Even for special training, there were always instructors accompanying them, leaving a group of freshmen at the demon forest without any supervision. This made him realize that the claim about powerful creatures being wiped out was probably empty talk. As far as the eye could see, one person was surrounded and fussed over by a crowd. Long Yunfei said excitedly, "He's Lu Yuanliang, the third young master of the ruling group, a man of extraordinary status." This news was hardly reassuring. Even mercenary groups feared the demon forest, so why would someone like him come? These figures from the heart of power had far better ways to grow. They had no need to risk their lives. Then another person stepped out of a vehicle. Though no one crowded around him, all eyes turned to him the moment he got out. A hint of reverence was visible in their, "Oh my God, it's Lin Tianla, the #1 genius of Cloud City." Pang Yunfei's eyes were full of admiration. To train alongside someone like him is a tremendous honor. Lin Tianla walked over to Lu Yuanliang with a smile, and the two exchanged greetings from across the crowd. After getting off the vehicles, the students undergoing special training split into two factions. Most of them carried dried rations and were armed to the teeth. The difference between the two factions was stark in their attire. Although the core school had fewer students, their equipment was several grades superior. They possessed formidable combat power. In contrast, the ordinary school students had nothing. Very few even had a single battle blade. They stared at the demon forest, their eyes filled with dread. Over their colossal trees blocked out the sun and sky. Their bizarre twisted branches stretched into the air like demonic tentacles. The bird nests on the branches were several meters wide, and below them were massive beast footprints like deep pits. "This is huge. Is it really safe here? What are you thinking? If it were safe, there'd be no training. What do we do? I just want to go home to my mom." Before they even entered the dense forest, they were terrified by the enormous footprints. If they ran into the actual beast itself, wouldn't they be dead on arrival? "You there, go in first." The core school students cleared a path, their faces expressionless as they barked orders. They brandished their guns, forcing the ordinary school students to enter and scout ahead. The ordinary students were all furious. "This is so unfair. Why should we have to scout? You don't listen to them. There are more of us. Why should we fear them?" Exactly. Before the words even died down, those who had protested the loudest were dragged to the front. Lin Tianla scoffed, "Fairness. Let me tell you, letting you participate in this training is the greatest fairness there is." It was then that those few realized the immense gap between themselves and the core school students. At the very least, when they were grabbed just now, they couldn't offer any resistance. Like little chicks, they were tossed straight into the demon forest. Under the coercion of the core students, they were forced deeper into the forest. They disappeared from view without a single sound echoing back. Lu Yuanliang said emotionlessly, "Indeed, there's no danger in the demon forest. Let's go in as well." As his words fell, the core school students, including Lin Tianla, all entered the demon forest. They completely ignored the remaining ordinary students. "What should we do?" Wu Xiaoya asked Pang Shi, unsure whether to enter. It was fraught with danger. "Let's follow them and see why they're really here," Pang Shi replied. The events that just transpired had shattered Long Yunfei's illusions. Following that group now could mean becoming cannon fodder at any moment. He just wanted to stay as far away from them as possible, hunt down a mutated beast, complete his mission, and go home. Li Haoran felt the same way. In fact, most of the students from the ordinary schools shared this sentiment. Any ambition they had upon arriving had been thoroughly ground down. After entering the demon forest, they chose a different path from the core school students. Outside, only Pang Shi and Wu Xiaoya remained. Pang Shi frowned and asked, "Why didn't you go with them?" "Because I trust you more," Wu Xiaoya said with a smile. She wore a biomimetic bulletproof vest that perfectly accentuated her mature figure. Beneath her sunny smile was a vibrant youthful energy. She carried a heavy particle sniper rifle on her back, looking quite capable. "I don't like dragging dead weight unless you can prove your worth." Wu Xiaoya was exasperated and retorted, "There are countless boys who'd die for a chance to be with me." In the end, Pang Shi didn't drive her away. They followed behind the core school. In situations where resources were unequal, these people often knew more. After all, coming here to hunt monsters seemed like just a facade. Bang bang bang. Not long after, intense gunfire erupted ahead. A beast's roar followed, along with screams rising from all sides. Pang Shi stopped and swiftly climbed a giant tree. Wu Xiaoya followed suit, staying close beside him. Cradling her heavy particle rifle, she said with a smile, "Hey, you're not as cold as you look. If you smiled more like me, you'd stay young forever." She looked at Pang Shi, hoping for a response. But she was disappointed. He took 2 bottles of water from his pack and offered one to her. She asked in surprise, "You didn't bring anything else?" He didn't take Wu Xiaoya's water. Instead, Pang Shi quickly climbed higher up the tree. Soon after, a colossal wild boar charged through. It was over 5 meters tall and 7 or 8 meters long, with blood dripping from its 2 massive tusks. It was a terrifying sight. "Quick, chase it. That boar is wounded. If we take it down, we complete the mission." Behind it, a group of well-equipped students were in pursuit. The boar sprinted, letting out furious roars. When the students closed in, it suddenly spun around and charged madly into the crowd. Bang, bang, bang. A fierce volley of gunfire erupted. The boar's massive body crashed to the ground before them. We got it. Someone shouted triumphantly. Take its tusks as proof. Let's continue hunting. The boar's carcass was left behind, its tusks collected as evidence. Watching the departing squad, Pang Shi frowned again. What were these people even doing during training? With a leap, he landed on a branch of the opposite tree. Seeing the gap of over 10 meters between the two trees, Wu Xiaoya began to question her life choices. Fortunately, Pang Shi paused, and she hurriedly followed. From their vantage point, they could see a large number of students resting below. They had set up defensive tents. At least 10 security personnel were patrolling, and Lu Yuanliang was resting inside one of the tents. Lin Tianla, hailed as the #1 genius, was also nearby. Like Pang Shi, he had chosen to rest in a tree. Pang Shi observed all this. For now, the true purpose of this group remained a mystery. On the other side, the boar that had lost its tusks miraculously regained consciousness. It charged frantically in the direction it had come from before finally collapsing. Blood spread from its wounds, seeping into the beast's footprints below.